Chat room. All right, everybody. Hi. Hello. 1, 2, 1, 2. A little bit hot, not hot enough. That's fine. All right. Maybe we'll go there. There it is. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. Pugs Moran here, live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios on the beautiful south side of Chicago. We do this every day. Current events talk, hot topics, current events, pop culture, whatever it is, lifestyle dilemmas, whatever we might get into. We gather. We have a chat room here. We gather every day around about noon and we talk about the world. We are nonpartisan here. I don't care how you voted. You shouldn't care how I voted. You know what? If I like somebody, I'll tell you about them. But, you don't have to go vote or anything. The point is this. In a world, in a nation, really, that is just so relentlessly divided on absolutely everything, this is a place where we can all throw that away. Oh, wishful thinking, I know. How do you just throw it away? Well, here's how you do. You come here, you listen to somebody like me, you mix it up with people in the chat room, and you realize that on some level, we all can find common ground. We're all just, choosing, cherry picking the things to be pissed at each other about. We can make choices to be cool with one another and hang out. Look at this. We got Adam Reyna hanging out with Byron. I know it's just metaphorically because they're in a chat room and all that, but you get my point. That wouldn't be metaphorically, would it? I don't know. I'm not going to get hung up on that. Hi, everybody. Welcome to a Thursday show. We got a lot of stuff to get into. First, I would ask, like, follow, subscribe, smash. I hear the kids say that all the time. Is that why I have no followers? Is that what's happening? I'm not using the proper vernacular. Smash that like button. Leave a comment. Join the chat room. Tell a friend. That's all. That's all. I got nothing else. A lot of stuff to talk about today. We're going to get into a whole bunch of stuff. But first, let me say hi to the chat room. Let's see. Let me go all the way back to the beginning today. I like to award the first into the chat room today on my screen. Now, I don't mean to start a controversy, but I do understand that some people are, on their screen, it might be different. They might be there first. But I think there's a couple different chat rooms, and I think that when I merge them so that I can see YouTube or Facebook or Radio Misfits or whatever, actually it looks like everybody here is with YouTube. So I don't know, whatever. But sometimes I will shout out first in the chat room to somebody who's actually not first in the chat room. There's somebody, but I don't know, for some reason, my merged chat shows me that Peter is first in the chat room today. Peter, followed almost immediately by Leslie C. Close. And also up there on the podium, she's always on the podium, Taranda. That's right. First three in today, the podium for today. Peter, he came in first. Leslie came in second. And then Taranda. All right, very good. Let me say hi to some other people. Oh, geez, look at what my fat fingers did. Oh, my God, here we go. Having trouble with the cord here. Can't navigate. All right, let me see what I did. Okay, let's get rid of that. Right here. Remove. Okay, yeah, now we remove. I don't even know what I'm doing. I have no idea. My big fat finger accidentally grazed something. It used to happen a lot. I went from a certain sized laptop that I was using to run this show to a larger sized laptop to run this show. So what has happened, and I've been able to fix a lot of these little bumps, but what has happened on occasion is that because I'm now using a larger laptop, the key buttons are different. They're in different places. So when I thoughtlessly just revert to muscle memory with the old, smaller laptop, I'm just hitting the wrong buttons is what's going on. The different button's not where it's supposed to be because it's a larger laptop. We got a lot of stuff we're going to get into today. Let me tell you about some of the things that I've got on tap. Excuse me as I massage my voice. I try and get my voice back. We're going to talk about a little bit about Trump's speech. We're going to talk a lot about Trump's fight that he's picking with Bruce Springsteen. That'll be fun. Yeah, Trump's he looks like a prune. Well, everybody ages, man, but prune. You're an orange or cantaloupe, whatever you want to call it. I mean, come on. All right, so we're gonna break that down. Also, so there's a lot of people that are saying that this weekend is going to be the boots on the ground weekend. that this is going to be the weekend that U.S. military forces put boots on the ground in Iran. The invasion is coming this weekend. And there's a lot of experts going around making appearances on television, news, whatever it is, cable, CNN, all that stuff. Even just, podcasts. Again, I don't know why I make a distinction. Media, however you get it, they're all over the place. They're saying that it's going to be this weekend, experts. But there is have you heard of the pizza index? The pizza index is a thing that's been around for a while now, and it gauges the amount of pizzas that are ordered in let's say 1 mile rate, 5 mile radius of the White House. What that indicates is that people in the White House are working late and ordering pizza in because something big is going down. That's the pizza index. And the pizza index has been used for years to sort of predict, we're going to bomb Libya tonight. They ordered a shit ton of pizzas. The pizza index. I believe, and I'm not sure, but I think that might be originally a West Wing thing, like something that the West Wing either invented or that the West Wing first mentioned as being a way that people gauge activities inside the White House at night. If they're suddenly ordering 100 pizzas, nobody's going home, the pizza index says something's happening. All right, well, we got a new one. And it's called the stripper index. Yeah. We're going to talk about the stripper index and what the stripper index says about whether or not we're getting ready to send troops into battle. That stands to reason, right? I mean, if you're a stripper, and there are a lot of strip clubs around, whether you're talking about San Diego or Virginia, Norfolk, where the naval base is there, wherever there's, big bases where people get deployed, there are a lot of strip clubs. And the stripper index is now a thing because, well, strippers talk and strippers, their job is to manipulate people who are drunk. And when they're a 19-year-old getting ready to ship out and he's spending all of his money and he's getting wasted and he's like, I'm going to die. Yeah, well, that stripper then has information. So the stripper index, I love it. It's my favorite new discovery, the stripper index. We'll talk about that today and what that is saying regarding troops and an invasion this weekend. Pam Bondi might get fired. We'll mention that. We're going to cover the Artemis 2 situation because, I'm a space nerd and I found so much cool stuff. So Artemis 2 talk. We'll figure out where we are in the journey. Yeah, I know I'm a nerd, but it's like, did we make translunar injection yet? We'll see. Stay tuned. Translunar injection. That's what we're waiting on. That's the big thing. Well, I'll get you all caught up. Little Artemis 2 talk, and we'll actually check in live with the astronauts. We can watch them now and see what they're doing. All right, so we got that. What else do we got? We got some other fun stuff I want to talk about. We got some bad. We're going to listen into some air traffic controllers. We had another bad air traffic controller situation that came up. Woo, this one is really scary. Also, what else did I want to talk about? There's something else fun, not fun, but kind of interesting, like light, non-political. What was it? Oh, Lindsey Buckingham. You guys hear about Lindsey Buckingham? Oh, we're going to delve into this story. Lindsey Buckingham, for those of you who don't know, and you should know. See, Lindsey Buckingham is such a true, brilliant, look, just going to say it here. Fleetwood Mac was never better than when Lindsey Buckingham basically took over, right? The early stuff with Peter Green, it was all jazzy and nobody was buying them records. And then Fleetwood Mac brought in Buckingham Nicks, Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks, and Fleetwood Mac went boom. I like Lindsey Buckingham. He's pretty cool. And his Fleetwood Mac stuff is just killer. The Chain, are you killing me? Kidding me, for that matter. Anyway, something happened to Lindsey Buckingham, and we're gonna break it down, and it don't make no sense, and it's very weird. All right, so we've got all that. We got a bunch of stuff we'll get to. We're gonna talk about a whole bunch of stuff, and there's more too. I just don't want to go through the whole thing. Check back in with the chat room and say hi to them. Let's see. We have Mikey D. We got Kev. Kev's here. We've got Adam. Hi, Adam. Apes. April's here. Frankie B is here. Hold on, wait. April knows about the strip club index. I've been seeing the strip club index where all the strip clubs near bases have been extra busy lately. Yeah, but that is absolutely one of the components of what is being called the stripper index. And now the stripper index, not unlike the pizza index. They're two different things, though. The stripper index is the one that tells us what's on the minds of soldiers and what's about to happen to them and what they've been told, right? Because that's the thing. They go to a strip club. They're getting ready to get shipped out. Some of them are like, they know something bad could happen. I mean, but they're also brave young men who know exactly what they're signing up for, and they probably can't wait to get out there. But humans are complicated and emotions are complicated, and they go to a strip club a couple of nights before they're getting ready to deploy. They spend all of their money. Right? They get fucking wasted. And what happens when you get wasted? You talk. And interviewing strippers, they'll tell you stuff. Especially give them $100. Give us $100. Hey, baby, come here. What happened last night when you serviced like 15 Marines? What did they tell you? Oh, they were fucked up. They were really sad. They didn't give a shit. They just wanted to have one last night. Huh? What do you think that means? Anyway, stripper index. I love it. April says, I've been seeing it. Has it been around for a while? Because I'm just discovering it. My eyes, this is new to me. So I don't know. We do want to thank Hair. I don't think I did this properly. Let me see. Yeah, no, I did it properly. We got it. We have an executive producer on today's show. It's Peter the Great. Peter the Great. Thank you, Peter. That was so nice of you. I saw Peter. Peter was hanging out. Was April too? I think it was April. Oh, excuse me. Hanging out in my special Artemis 2 launch special. You special twice that I did yesterday. Covered the launch of the Artemis 2. I came back on about 5:30 or something. I don't know. I think we did an hour and a half. It was very cool, man. It was very cool. And we're going to cover that. Hiccups. Oh, God. Oh, yeah. Should I just ride with them for a little while? You want to play over under? Hold on. Let me clear the chamber. All right. Do we do over under 10? 10 more hiccups from this point. All right. I don't want to screw the betting line, but I would take the under because I think they're gone. There you go. I think they're gone. Oh, geez. There we go. There's one. That was gone. 2. There's 2. You see, this is the mental aspect. It's all mental. Hiccups are mental because this is also the war that rages inside me my whole life. I say, this is what I should do. And then the other side goes, don't do that, you fucking loser, right? That's it. So as soon as I started celebrating that I had beaten the hiccups came back. And now they're gone. And I can feel one being like, yeah, fuck you, man. You think we're gone? Hold on. Such a distraction. We've got important stuff to talk about. Like the president of the United States calling a rock star a dried up old prune. Trump's so funny. All right, let's get started here. Thank you, Peter. Peter the Great is our executive producer because he was the big tipper of the show yesterday. And if you would like to be like Peter and the executive producer tomorrow, please drop a little something today. You can do that by either visiting the Venmo or the Cash App. We'll leave that up for a little while. All right, let's get into what we're going to talk about today. First out of the box, let me mention this because this is, it's not a story that I think I'm going to bother you guys with too much here on the show, although I had intended to keep you up to date as it resolves itself. But it hasn't resolved itself. And that is this local story here in Chicago that is getting absolutely zero national attention. It is not only getting zero national attention, it has, in the last 24 hours, received zero local attention. Now, the conspiracy theorists out there and the troublemakers who are trying to stir up some kind of, they're covering it up because they don't want to tell you who killed her. There's that narrative. And that narrative, 24 hours ago, yesterday on this show, I shot down and said, shut up. You're not the Cook County sheriffs. All right. This is a homicide investigation. It just happened on Saturday. Because you don't have a guy in cuffs by Monday night doesn't mean there's some grand conspiracy. Well, it's Thursday. It's Thursday. The police, the Cook County Sheriff and the Illinois State Police have both said, and by the way, we're talking about Lily Bova. Lily Bova was a 16-year-old girl in Glenview, Illinois, just outside Chicago. Glenview, a pretty cool place. I mean, I don't know if I want to say a nice place. It is nice. It's beautiful. I mean, just like topographically, it is gorgeous in Glenview. There's a name. I don't want to say nice because it had always been a military town outside Chicago, right? Like a little military town carved into the woods just outside Chicago on the lakefront. And the Great Lakes Naval Air Base and the Glenview Naval Air Station is there. You know, it's kind of where they protect Lake Michigan. But it's very quaint. It's very quaint and it's nice. And they don't have these kinds of murders. The kinds of thing that was reported on Saturday when 16-year-old Glenbard South sophomore Lily Bova at 11 a.m. after returning home from a spring break vacation with her family to the Great Wolf Lodge in downstate Illinois. I think. Where's the Great Wolf here? I don't know. I mean, there is, because it's Chicago, there's something of everything, but did they go far? Did they go far to I don't know, whatever. They went for spring break with the family. Very lovely. It's what the Great Wolf is built for, right? They get home on Friday night. Lily Bova, 16-year-old, returns to the shitty apartment that she lives in with her 18-year-old sister. And on Saturday morning at 11 a.m., she was shot in the face and killed. The police have said, I mean, right from the jump, the sister was there. The sister knows who did it. The sister has talked to police. The police say, we know who did it. Hispanic male. And there is no threat to the community. And this was an isolated incident. Now, there is zero reporting in the last 24 hours to 48 hours. If you put this story into Google, if you put Lily Bova into Google and hit search and then click news, the most recent news story you will see is from 2 days ago. Now, I told you 24 hours ago that I might have a different opinion of what's going on with this story if in 24 hours we don't at least hear from the Cook County Sheriff's Department or the Illinois State Police. Okay, if we don't hear from them, then at least let's see the dogged coverage by local media to get to the bottom of this. A 16-year-old beautiful little girl was shot and killed in the face, shot in the face twice, and killed on Saturday morning. The police say they know who did it. The police have described him as a Hispanic male. That's all, not young. But then we heard from Lily's father, who gave an interview to WGN, who was railing about keeping guns out of the hands of juvenile youths because this can never happen again. So the father tells us that he knows, as the father of the victim, who killed her, and that it was a juvenile youth. The police said it's a Latino male is what they're looking for. Now, because there is zero reporting and nobody's giving us information about this, a shocking story. No Fox Chicago, no ABC Chicago, no Sun-Times, no Tribune in 2 days. Now, because of this, we have to rely on Facebook and Twitter and, people talking about this. So all of the things that have been reported that we know, the cops say it's an isolated incident. The cops say they know who did it. There has been no arrest. The father says that we need to keep guns out of the hands of juvenile youths. We know that she was on spring break and returned to the apartment she lives in with her 18-year-old sister. These are all confirmed facts. So now we go to online and we hear endless stories about how she was dating a Mexican kid. Now we also hear stories about how she's dating a Mexican kid who's here illegally or I don't know because everything is so politically charged. But the reason that these kinds of suboptimal narratives start to pick up steam is because neither the authorities are making this a public story, which they need to because the public wants to know. A 16-year-old girl gets shot in the face twice. You say you know who it is. There's no threat to the community, but there's still no arrest, so this person's out there. I just can't believe that in the case of 16-year-old Lily Bova, there has not been any news in 2 days. I can believe that the police aren't saying anything, or the prosecution isn't. The prosecutor's office isn't saying anything. I understand that it's still a murder investigation. I would like to hear updates, but I get it if they're not ready to file charges. It's a murder investigation. They're doing their thing. But to have the local media be silent on this, see, that's where it starts to get weird for me, because this is a story that people are interested in. This is the kind of story that, I don't know, they would exploit for viewerships. This is the kind of story that made Nancy Grace a household name. And there is literally almost a blackout on Lily Bova. So 24 hours later, again, there are some suboptimal narratives being brewed up and hyped up online that are just, more ugliness, more divided ugliness. And I have to sit here and go, well, that's the only information I have, because not only is the local media seemingly not covering this anymore, but the police are saying nothing about it. So the narrative becomes, look at this. Here's an example in Chicago of an illegal murdering a pretty white girl. And not only are the police not doing anything about it, but the media isn't doing anything about it. That's the narrative. And that's the narrative I was trying to avoid yesterday. But that's the narrative that is now seemingly driving the Lily Bova story. So because of that, we can expect it to start being reported ad nauseum on Newsmax and Fox News and all that. So be ready for that in the next couple of days. But just know that the story is almost a week old at this point. And until they found the exact political way to make this a big story, it has remained quiet. And seemingly to me, I mean, look, my only choices are that Chicago journalists are inept and incompetent. And I know that that's not true. They're some of the best in the country. Or there's a cover-up. And for some reason, there is no information because there's a cover-up. I don't know. Those are like the two choices. Or we're just crazily impatient, and, and we're falling victim to what social media does, which is introduce ways of looking at things that we would have never come to on our own. So maybe that's it. All right, anyway, there's a Lily Bova update. Also, I'm telling you, we got this situation in Crete where some hot 30-year-old chick killed her husband and then drove to her husband's parents' house and murdered them. It was last week too. It's crazy around here. It's getting crazy in the suburbs. All right. Okay, so Trump made a speech last night. Let's talk about that. Let's just run through some things. Trump made a speech last night, and it was bad. It was bad. It was a bad speech. Look, by any standard. Look, I'm not a Trump guy, right? But, I also think, hey, I was just praising his Bruce Springsteen tweet as being very funny. He's funny. I give him credit when he's funny. Give him credit. That speech, that was low energy. That speech, use his own words, very low energy, Donnie. Very low energy. Low energy. And here's the other thing. He didn't want to do that speech. He had no interest in doing that speech. He had to be forced into doing that speech. You know how I know? Because it was only 25 minutes. That dude would go for an hour and a half if it was something he was into. He got on, he got off, and he did the very bare minimum. It's like he wanted to give a really different speech, and then on his way out, they blow doored him with Thorazine. He just gets right in the neck. And he walks out there and he's like, United States. He can't say United States, you guys. He never says United States right. United States. Anyway, very low energy, Donnie. You can tell that his heart wasn't in it. He wasn't selling that performance. Time to bring in the understudy. This guy didn't want to perform tonight. What else did he do? Since the speech, oil prices have surged. Apparently the speech didn't do anything to make oil prices go down. Honestly, I tuned out. Like I gave it like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then I went back to looking at my laptop. And he was on, and he's like, United States. He's doing that. But I'm like, looking. I'm doing a mock Bears draft. I'm like, what is this? This is very low energy, Donnie. Start yelling at people. Come on, raise your voice. Look, I'm not going to like them either way, but make it. Come on. Some people bought the performance. What did you vote for? I voted for the craziness. So let's go. And that wasn't crazy. It was nothing. It was a guy who was forced to go out there, because everything's in the toilet. It is kind of. It's crazy that like I saw gas in my neighborhood. Remember the place that was $2.79 when it started like a month ago? Gas in my neighborhood now at the cheapest little Walmart place is $4.59. $4.59 a gallon. Prices are up all over, but gas is the one that we all utilize. We all get gas a couple times a week, maybe once a week, whatever. But it's funny to like live in the reality of everyday America and then like have him up there going, the economy is booming. This has never been better. I mean, that's funny. But again, I think maybe I'm at the point now where even that nuttiness doesn't move the needle for me anymore. And, unless he's going to scream it. If he started screaming it, then maybe I'd be like, okay, you got my attention, crazy boy. But no, he's just like straight up, straight face, normal tone, lucid seeming, except for can't say stage. And he's just saying these things. The economy has never been better. I won in a landslide. My poll numbers are huge. Everybody loves me. Things are going great. I mean, he says it with a straight face, and I don't know. Whatever. He also says the war is going to be over in 2 to 3 weeks, and I'm like, dude, that ain't how wars work. You don't just get to set an end date for a war unless you're comfortable with history saying you lost. You don't just end the war when you've won. You don't just get to go, 2, 3 weeks, we're gonna wrap this whole thing up. What does that mean? It's absurd, but people hear that and they're like, oh, okay. 2, 3 weeks, he's gonna say, okay, it's over, we won, and then we're gonna celebrate because we won a war. That's who you people are. It's crazy to me. I don't know. That's like, a football team. We're just going to play 3.5 quarters, and then we're just going to stop, and we're going to say, we won, and that's it. Reminds me of the old, who was the coach? There was some coach. There was some really funny coach. He used to do, like, college game day. God, I wish I could remember his name. He died a couple of years ago, but throughout, like, the 90s and stuff, he was, before Lou Holtz, there was this guy. I can't remember his name. Maybe the chat room does. He did college football. Anyway, it reminds me of he was coaching Northern Illinois University, like back in the 1970s. And Northern Illinois University was not a powerhouse, but they had played Notre Dame. So it was Northern Illinois University versus Notre Dame. And at halftime, Northern Illinois University was up 10-7. So this coach, whose name I can't remember, he had the entire NIU team go run and pose for a picture under the scoreboard with them beating Notre Dame at halftime. The legend. Well, he's a legend. I can't remember his name. Anyway, he's funny. He was a coach. He did like game day forever, or maybe it was another one. I don't know, whatever it was. But Notre Dame would go on to like win that game like 41-10. But whatever, at halftime, they were up. And he made his team take a picture. Let's see. Anybody in the chat room have a guess as to who that guy is? I can't think of his name. Maybe and yeah, I'm seeing this. I'm just trying to get caught up here. It was going to be my next story anyway. Hold on. All right. Yeah, we do. We got some breaking news here. Thank you, chat room. Chat room's always on it. I mean, I saw it myself and I was just going to it. But thank you, chat room's on it. Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of these here United, I should say former Attorney General of these here United States, is leaving the Department of Justice. President Trump announced on Truth Social. Truth Social. Dude, you're supposed to tell all of us. You just release it, Truth Social. I don't have Truth Social. Well, thankfully, people are monitoring Truth Social, so we know. Pam Bondi is out. Let's see here. Bondi led the unsuccessful attempts to prosecute Trump's political foes and oversaw releasing files about deceased sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, which has been a political liability for the president. There's that loyalty. She did everything he wanted. She did everything he wanted. She got the shit kicked out of her. And now she's gone. She's gone. She's gone. Oh, I gotta do this with my coffee cup because I got a new coffee cup, and as you can see, it leaks. My mom, God love her, she got sick and tired of seeing the same old coffee cups that I've been using for like a decade. I've got these reusable plastic coffee cups that I use. I've been using them every day. They're kind of gross because they're really old at this point, but I use them every day. So she got sick of seeing those, and she went and she bought me 2 new coffee cups, and both of them leak. Both of them leak. So I got to revert back to the old gross coffee cups simply because they function. They work. So whenever I drink this one, I have to see. All right, here. I'll show you the test. All right. So you see where there's a white? Yeah. Okay. So it's white right here. That's right where I'm going to be drinking. I'll show you. Hold on. I got to position it right. Do you see how cumbersome this has become? Well, that one held. That's good. All right. Very good. All right. Back to Pam Bondi, who, was nothing but loyal, did everything the boy king demanded. And because the boy king demands shit that sends people straight into a wood chipper, she walked proudly into that MAGA wood chipper. She got chipped up, and now she's gone. She's gone. She's gone. We're gonna something gone. Well, I don't know what the word to that is. Hall & Oates, bangers straight across the board. Philly soul, man. Oh, blonde, blue-eyed Philly soul. Good stuff. But I don't know the words. Bondi led the unsuccessful attempts to prosecute Trump's political foes and oversaw releasing files about Jeffrey Epstein. We love Pam, and she will be transitioning to a much-needed and important new job in the private sector, to be announced at a date in the near future. 2 weeks? Two couple of weeks? You're going to let us know in a couple of weeks what she's doing? You're going to make up some new position, and what's she going to be? She's going to be like the, I wouldn't even know. I mean, that's why it's so crazy. I can't even imagine what they would make her. The grand poobah of, the Cuba. What? Maybe that's it, because she's from Florida. Maybe they'll put her in charge of Cuba. Although, don't you think Marco Rubio wants that gig? Of all the gigs that they're giving Marco Rubio, I think he really wants to be king of Cuba. I think that would be good for him. The Justice Department has historically operated independently from presidents, but Trump very publicly put pressure on Bondi to target his political rivals. Attempts to prosecute New York Attorney General Letitia James and former FBI Director James Comey failed. Per reports, Trump was frustrated with Bondi's handling of the Epstein files, which briefly caused a stir among the MAGA base. Well, yeah, because when it starts going badly for him, he has no problem throwing his underlings under the bus. Those very same underlings that he sets up to fail with crazy things, crazy asks. And because they want the power, and because being so close to ultimate power in the Oval Office is intoxicating, they're willing to compromise whatever principles they may have had in the beginning, if they had any at all. I've got a theory about the modern politician. Like, if you're a politician between the ages of 35 and 50, you need to go. You are broken because you matriculated through politics at an era where things were at the apex of corruption. If you are between 35 and 50 and in politics, get the fuck out. These are the Matt Gaetzes, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, the Boberts, the people who snuck in the back fucking door when we were all distracted by the orange clown. Those people got to go. And Bondi is one of them. I don't know that these people went into politics ever having any principles or convictions. I think they went into politics because it seemed like a way to get famous all of a sudden. Wait a second. You mean I can go on Fox News all the time and all I've got to do is win a congressional race in South Florida? That's it? Oh my God, I'll do that. What do I got to say? So I think that's who these people are from the beginning. And Pam Bondi is someone who have always struck me as that way. You know, Pam Bondi, there are certain people who, and I read this was an article a year ago when she first became Attorney General. And it was about how Pam Bondi in Florida started out as just a normal conservative Republican. She wasn't crazy. She wasn't a birther. She wasn't any of this shit. And then DeSantis came in. And then she became like completely caught up in the political wave of Florida nonsense. And so she has over the years completely corrupted herself from whatever she was in the beginning. And I don't know that what she was in the beginning was all that great anyway. I don't know. But what I do know is I remember reading this article that showed how she has progressively bent to the populist will of the moment. And maybe that's how she gets in a position where she goes on Fox News a year ago and says, I've got all the Epstein files on my desk and I'm going to release them on Monday. And then Monday comes and she doesn't do it. Now, why did she do that? Why did she go on TV and do that? Why did she say she had them on her desk? Because they never had a plan. Because the narrative from the very beginning concerning Epstein was confuse, obfuscate, and just stall. So she bought herself some time. We're going to release it. Well, I can't release it. I'm still reading it. Hey, Ghislaine wants to testify in front of Congress. Well, before she does that, we need to talk to her. We need to investigate. You haven't investigated her. You put her in prison. You convicted her. You didn't do an investigation before you convicted her? Well, we need to talk to her. Then, of course, they send Todd Blanche, but by the way, what's the word on Todd Blanche? Is he still there? Is he our new Attorney General? The guy who went and negotiated the cushy prison transfer for Ghislaine Maxwell in exchange for her saying Trump didn't molest kids? I mean, my God, man. If you don't know what quid pro quo is or tit for tat or, scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. How can you be entrusted with a presidential vote? That is the most corrupt thing that I think has happened right out in the open concerning the rank serial molestation and trafficking of children that we've heard. That is the most obvious thing. That whole Todd Blanche, Pam Bondi, Ghislaine Maxwell. All of a sudden, she's in a fucking cushy club fed. That happened right in front of us, and nobody did anything then. Hell, Pam Bondi's we were fine with it. I mean, anybody that raised an objection was libtard fake news. I don't know. Pam Bondi, screw her. What does she have now? What does someone like Pam Bondi have now that MAGA has turned on her? Like the rank and file turned on her a year ago. The rank and file MAGA have been pissed with her for quite some time. So she doesn't have that to fall back into now. She's not an old woman. She should have a career. My God. Honestly, the only avenue for her is to turn heel on MAGA and beg for it. Do Marjorie Taylor Greene. See if now you can talk about some things that you don't have to be worried about repercussion from Donald, because fuck Donald. He just threw you under the bus. Although he does have that way of sort of keeping these people in check by giving them crazy made up State Department jobs, or you know what I mean? Like what he did with when Don Trump Jr. got tired of banging that Guilfoyle girl, Donald Trump, he just sent her to Greece. He's like, you're the new ambassador to Greece. He did that. Then you got like Tulsi Gabbard, that, like, he got tired of. She was in charge of like intelligence. She had a big intelligence job. And then he's like, yeah, not anymore. So now she's just like, I don't know what she does. She's, she solves Rubik's Cubes around the White House. I don't know what she does. And then most recently, Kristi Noem was, they created some fake job. They'll do the same for Bondi. It sounds like it. He doesn't know what it is yet. That's why he says, give me 2 weeks. 2 weeks and I don't know, maybe I'll make her ambassador to a new Iran. Queen of Iran, Pam Bondi. Oh, they'll love her. White Christian lady with blonde hair running Iran. Bondi faced bipartisan heat over her handling of the Epstein files, whose release was delayed under her watch. Recently, enraged House Oversight Committee Democrats stormed out of an Epstein-related briefing and raised the threat of an impeachment of Bondi. Even Trump's chief of staff, Susie Wiles, criticized Bondi's handling of the Epstein files, saying she handled it exactly the way she was instructed. Nobody believes that Pam Bondi was out there wildcatting on her own. Nobody. Stop it. She was receiving instructions. That's the whole problem with this whole. But again, I do point this out when people are like, the Justice Department must maintain its independence from the presidency. They can't have this kind of closeness. And I'm like, John F. Kennedy named his brother Attorney General. What the fuck are you people talking about? Well, people don't know history, so nobody's going to think of that. So when I lie and say this, then it'll sound smart, and people will repeat it. Oh, stop it. Wasn't Nixon's Attorney General was like his best friend from California. This is something that happens. So stop with the whole, there shouldn't be a connection between the president and the Justice Department. Well, yeah, you're right. There shouldn't be, but it's not like there hasn't been forever. So anyway, she's kicked to the curb. Pam Bondi is out. Let's see. As reports circulate that Trump was considering the ousting of Bondi, he defended her to CNN and the New York Times, saying she's a wonderful person, is doing a good job. That was last night. Nobody cares that he lies. Nobody cares that everything he says is a lie. And that's a problem. And I don't care anymore because, again, he's flooded the zone with just endless fucking nonsense and lies, half-truths, misrepresentations, obvious political bullshit. He does it all the time. She's a great girl. She's doing a good job. He doesn't care about credibility because he understands that we, the stupid, we don't remember shit. We have to be reminded by the media, and that's why he hates the media, because the media is the one that fucking reminds the stupids, us, that he lies to us. And when the media is like, hey, he lied about that, he goes, fake news, and then all the stupids go, yeah! I mean, that's what's happening. It's what's been happening. And I don't think it's working as well anymore. Anyway, Pam Bondi is out. She's going back to Florida. Or I don't know. He's gonna create something for us, so that'll be fun, right? All right, let's talk about the stripper index, because this is something that a lot of people are saying that we're going to probably be looking at some form of an invasion, either the oil islands there. I don't know what Crete. It's not Crete. Whatever. Apparently, there's an island that's real important because it's where all Iran's oil is. So we're going to invade that. We're going to take that, I guess. And then I don't know. We're doing other stuff. We've got 50,000 plus troops there in the region that are just, sitting around doing nothing. They're going to be doing something, even if it's just standing around on Iraqi soil. We are putting American boots on the ground in Iran. Nobody voted for that. Nobody. When is this going to happen is the question. Could happen today, could happen any minute. Now, most experts are going around preaching that it's going to happen this weekend. That it'd be for a number of reasons. Christianity and Easter and the rise of So, yeah, probably beginning on Good Friday and culminating with some kind of a, I don't know, couldn't you see that? Could him sort of timing it so that American troops arrive in Tehran on Easter Sunday with a giant cross? I don't know. It's all, I'm sure that's a factor. I'm sure the fact that this is Easter weekend is playing into, well, let's wait till Easter. because it's all about optics. It's all about what people see, because what people see, you can often interpret what they're seeing in a way that's favorable to you. So optics, always important. Got to look good. How are the ratings? So the stripper index is not unlike the pizza index. I've told you about the pizza index. That's the thing that gauges the amount of pizzas that are ordered around the White House on any given night. And if the pizza index begins to spike, the belief is that, well, they're working late at the White House, so they must be up to something. So we might be bombing somebody tonight because the pizza index is going through the roof. Long trusted and accurate measurement. The pizza index hasn't been around this long if it was inaccurate. So now we have the stripper index, and the stripper index is something that's been created in places like Norfolk, Virginia, and San Diego. Oh, hold on. I am awaiting an important text today. So, boom, 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 boom. And that wasn't it. All right. Don't know why I'm still getting political texts. Totally forgot where I was. Oh, the stripper index. So the thinking behind the stripper index is how much money are strippers making on any particular nights at strip clubs that are adjacent to military bases where deployments occur. Okay, that's Norfolk and that's San Diego. So the stripper index, in this case, the first story that we're going to talk about, this comes the Sun, by the way. This is the British newspaper that is reporting this latest stripper index news. The Sun was focusing on San Diego, where our Marines are. Marines, they'll probably be the first in, the Marines. So what they did was they sent a bunch of reporters to these strip clubs around the military bases there in San Diego, and they just started paying strippers to talk and tell stories, and they got all kinds of information. And the stripper index was created by if a whole bunch of soldiers start flooding in and these soldiers are spending all of their money. Now, this is the logic of the stripper, because the stripper knows. Sometimes this guy will come in. He's not doing anything. He's saving his money. He's got to send some money home. He's got to do this, got to do that. She knows that, he's probably going to be around next week and the week after as well because of the way he's behaving. But when they come in and they're with their boys and they're getting rowdy and they are drinking and getting fucked up and they are spending on table dances and all, they know that these soldiers are probably getting ready to go out. And in this case, they actually talk to a number of strippers who talk to the soldiers who, when they're drunk, say, yeah, we're leaving Friday. So the stripper index says the invasion is going to happen this weekend because the last couple of days, according to the Sun, it's been crazy. The stripper index has been crazy. Loose Lips has stripper index revealed Trump's Iran plan. Exotic dancers say U.S. troops are spilling secrets and spending big. Here's why. Strippers have revealed that U.S. troops are sharing top secret deployment dates while they dole out lap dances. We're going to talk about Charm Days. Oh, let's look at Charm Days. Yeah, this story seems to be focusing on just her. Okay. So let's look at Charm Days. Let's see what kind of quality we're getting at a San Diego naval base. All right. No, we don't like that. We want to switch that. All right. Okay. And I want to be smaller. Okay. Here we go. Let's look at old Charm Days, shall we? I don't know. Not great. I don't know. I'm an old man. I like my Pam Anderson looking strippers. I don't know. That looks like something from a Japanese anime game, like a video game or something. I don't know what that is. All right, let's get back into it. Okay, so the stripper index. As we look at this girl, this is Charm. Charm is the one we're using for this. Charm Days, a San Diego-based stripper with nearly 1 million followers on TikTok. What? I got like 5 on TikTok. She told her army of followers that gloomy gunmen have been spending big ahead of their deployment to the Middle East. I love the way British tabloids write. Gloomy gunmen. She's telling her people that gloomy gunmen have been spending big ahead of their deployment to the Middle East. All right, let's see. What else do we have? San Diego is home to the largest U.S. naval base on the West Coast, hosting Navy SEALs that could be used to seize key oil terminals on Carg Island. That's what it is, Carg Island. But somber soldiers have been putting Trump's strategic mission in jeopardy by mistaking an exotic dancer for their therapists. Yeah, well, that's what they are. Bartenders and strippers, man. If you can't afford good medical insurance where you don't have the good therapy, maybe that's cheaper. Stripper ain't cheaper. In no situation is a stripper going to be cheaper than anything. There's nothing more expensive than dating a stripper. Because you're the only one who thinks you're dating. That's another thing. All right. Let's see. She's quoted here as saying, something I've noticed lately is that all the military guys are coming in and they're spending all of their money, Days says. It's sad. They're kind of depressed. They're like, oh yeah, we're going to have fun. We're getting deployed this week. Days goes on to describe the soldiers as kind and soft-spoken, making the experience all the more emotional for her. To see this young guy who looks like my pinky toe, like fetuses coming in and then dancing for them, she says, it's actually making me emotional. It's so fucked up. God, that's the worst. You imagine getting a lap dance from a stripper who's crying? I mean, I suppose, not to kink shame, although if that's something that turns you on, if you're like, yeah, baby, can you start crying? If that's something that turns you on, maybe I do intend to kink shame you. Because I think that says something about you. It says something about how you are sexually thrilled by people's emotional misery. And I'm going to move on from you. We're not going to be friends. She goes on to say, the video that she put up on TikTok quickly went viral, with viewers getting an inside look at the toll of bracing for deployment to the Middle East. Others pointed out that these troops were blowing operational security and putting Trump's bold invasion plan at risk. Here's a quote. PSA, don't tell your adult entertainer you're deploying, Marine officer and influencer Kagan Dunlap posted on X. You got to remind folks, don't talk to your barber about when you're deploying. Don't talk to your adult entertainer about when or where you're leaving from or what you're doing or dates and times and locations, because they don't know any better. They're going to post a TikTok video about it, he said. Yeah, they are. All right. 3,500 sailors and Marines aboard the USS Tripoli have arrived in the region over the weekend. Trump has said that a peace deal will probably come soon. We got more pictures of her. All right, hold on. Here she is. Is this a Gen Z thing? Here. All right, look, there she is. I mean, that's not my thing, man. I mean, I don't know. I'm an old man, I guess. That ain't my thing. The hair, that ain't what? That's a wig, right? First of all, I'm not pro wig. It's a lot. It's fairly common now for wigs and stuff. Never been a wig. No. Dated a girl who had extensions once, and it was a whole thing. And I'm like, that ain't cool. Anyway. There she is. That's Charmed Days, and she is at the heart of the stripper index that says that there is going to be an invasion this weekend. So there you go. All right, now let's talk about Artemis 2. Let's talk about Artemis 2. This is the thing that I'm very excited about. Artemis 2 lifted off yesterday. We covered it live here. We did because I'm a nerd, right? We only had a couple of people watching with me, but that's okay. I was going to watch it anyway, and why not watch it together? It was very cool. It was so cool. Artemis 2 is a part of the Artemis project, which aims to put us back on the moon. Not only put us back on the moon, but to build a base that will then allow us to begin our travels to Mars. That's, just think of it like that. We're gonna launch to Mars. We're building an airport on the moon, a spaceport kind of a deal. It's a good way to think of it. It's an idea that was proposed in the mid-1960s and one that there were actual plans moving forward as late as 1971. And then nothing. Nothing. Then we built a space pickup truck called the Space Shuttle, and we decided to just hang curtains for 40 years. And that's what we did. And again, I I don't mean to belittle the space shuttle program. It is the program that ended NASA. That's true. But it is also important. The whole reason that I'm doing this live stream right now is because of the space shuttle program. Right? We don't have the satellites in space if the space shuttle wasn't acting as a pickup truck, moving these things back and forth, up and down, and all of that. And now here we are in 2026, and there isn't a place in the world that we can go missing, unless, of course, we're on board a Malaysian airliner. That's the one place. But there's not a place in the world we can go missing. There's not a place in the world that we can't pull a phone out of our pocket. We can't get the internet. That's because of the boring space shuttle program, which destroyed America's interest in space and thus ended congressional funding of NASA. That's what happened. But it was necessary. I don't know if it was necessary to only do that, which is what happened, because the funding was so drastically cut to NASA that maybe they couldn't have two programs running at the same time. All right, that's fine. But this program got backed, of course, these satellites in space, because corporate interests. Corporate interests saw money in having satellites in space, so they started to pay for that stuff. So basically, you can put it this way. We were the American space program when it began with Mercury. The American Mercury, Gemini through Apollo. The American space program was a beautiful, talented girl from Kansas who got off that bus in the middle of Hollywood to become a star. And then by 1978, it was doing porn and hustling blowjobs on Sunset Boulevard. That's what we did to our space program. We hoarded out. Could have been so much more, but we hoarded out. Okay, so anyway, we seem to be back focused on the idea that maybe human space exploration is not only something that's important, but something that is just undeniable in our spirit. So we're back on board with the Artemis program, and as I told you, that's the program that is the stepping stone program that will get us to Mars. Artemis needs to be completed. Artemis 1 was the launch of an unmanned Artemis rocket around the moon. So basically what they did was they sent something up, little robot, and they circled the moon, and they're like, okay, we remember how to get into lunar orbit. We remember how to do all that. That was Artemis 1. Artemis 2 was yesterday. Artemis 2 yesterday was very important because it was human involved. These were human pilots that we sent up there. We have sent for the first time since 1974, 73, first time since then that we have sent, that anyone has sent human beings into the vicinity of the moon. And that's what began yesterday with the Artemis mission. And it was glorious. The liftoff was awesome. The most powerful rocket booster man has ever known thundered and shook. Dead animals. I pointed that out. Just prior to the launch, we saw two beautiful eagles flying around. And I'm like, get out of there, eagles. That thing's about to go nuclear. You're going to get fucking fried in midair. Get it. I don't know. Their animals got killed. It's such a cool thing, man. Whenever you see, look, it used to be badass just watching that Saturn V. The Saturn V was the previous strongest, biggest, most badass rocket man ever built. The Saturn V is what took the Apollo cruise to the moon. The Saturn V MTV, but that rocket, that's the rocket that we always see with the massive explosion. Woo! Last night's was even bigger. That bitch was gorgeous. All right. Let's see here. Let's check in. First, we're going to go through a couple of things. Let's see. Should we do where are we exactly in the mission? First of all, let's check in with them. Let's see what's happening. We'll go live with NASA. And I'll tell you where we are in the mission, because we are awaiting a very big moment. We are awaiting translunar injection. That has not happened yet. All right, so let's see what's going on here. Let me close some of these windows. I don't think I need that. I don't think I need that. I don't think I need the stripper open anymore. All right. What are we looking at? All right, so there you go. Big waste of time. There's nothing happening. There's 19 hours have elapsed in the mission time, and we don't need that. All right, so we don't need that one. I thought maybe they were checking in with the astronauts. They were doing that earlier. It was pretty cool. The astronauts, let's say their names. First humans to return to deep space since the 1970s. This is deep space. This is not just Earth orbit, hanging satellites, staying really close. Those are also very cool missions. But the International Space Station is nothing like what's happening right now. Nothing. So we got Commander Reed Wiseman. All right. He's a veteran U.S. Navy test pilot, previously spent 165 days on the International Space Station. As commander of this mission, Reed is responsible for overall mission execution and crew safety. Then we've got pilot Victor Glover. Glover is a U.S. Navy captain and was the pilot for NASA's SpaceX Crew 1 mission back in 2020. He's making history on this mission as the first person of color to travel beyond the lower those. Oh, good for you. I didn't think you people could do this. Oh my God. This is so good for you. Are you the only one that can do this? He did it. You guys, they can do it. Oh my God. Stop pandering. Stop pandering, Adam Reyna. He's like, well, Pugs is anti. Shut up. Jesus. Victor Glover, he's the pilot. He's the cool one. He's driving this thing. Then we got mission specialist Christina Koch. She's an engineer and a record-holding astronaut. Koch spent 328 consecutive days on the International Space Station. She also participated in the first all-female spacewalk. You guys, they can do it without fighting. 3 women. We said 3 women, and they walked together in space. I mean, who knew? Yeah. Pandering. She's the first woman to fly on a lunar mission. Mission specialist Jeremy Hansen, he's a Canadian. Isn't that wild? We're sending a Canadian up there. I thought we were mad at the Canadians. Well, you know, this mission was probably planned, and he began his training for this mission before we went to war with Canada. We went to war with Canada, didn't we? Or was that Greenland? I don't know. I'll never forget the Great Canadian War of 2025. Anyway, Jeremy Hansen is from Canada. He's a colonel and an CF, I guess that's what they call their planes. He's a CF-18 fighter pilot in the Royal Canadian Air Force. Hansen is the first non-American to travel to the vicinity of the moon. Artemis 2 marks his first flight into space. All right, rookie. All right, so here's where we are in the mission. So yesterday we watched the launch and all that kind of stuff, and we're going to watch some footage of that here because it's really cool. Got a couple different angles. So we watched the launch. Here's how the mission is going to go. Actually, here I can show you how it's going to go. All right, yeah. All right, so here, this is pretty cool. So this is going to show us exactly what the plan is for this Artemis 2 mission. All right, here we go. I did think it was very cool that the very first thing that Trump said, he came out and he was like, first, before we get into some bullshit, I just want to say how great our American heroes are. All right, so here's the mission. All right, so this is what it looks like. Right, here's the Earth. All right. All right, so it blasted off. This is what we watch. It blasted off, and then it's going to do a couple of rotations around the Earth in Earth orbit. Basically, what this is, you know, it's a car that's never been driven before. So before they take it on the cross-country road trip, they're going to drive it around the neighborhood for a while, and they're going to make sure that they don't get any, you know, warnings or coolants or, you know, check engine soon light doesn't come on. They're making sure the wipers and the lights work. So that's the first part of this. And that's where we are right now. We are just circling around Earth, making sure everything's good. That plan was for 24 hours. So this is where we are. So we're going to go one more time, a little bit further out. And okay. So this is what we're awaiting. This is going to happen at 5:30 tonight. At 5:30 tonight, we're going to be in this position. You can see our second rotation around the Earth was a little bit further out because we're going to try and whip around. We're using the same rules of physics, I suppose, as we're going to use with the moon. We're going to whip around both the gravitational pulls of Earth and the moon in order to propel the ship on this journey. It's really cool. And I am talking about it like a really stupid person because I think that's the only way that I can get my fellow citizens hype, because I don't know how to talk about it any other way. This is smart people stuff. So I'm glad they give us this animation. So anyway, it's very exciting. So here you go. Here you see the moon. So at 5:30, we're going to begin translunar injection. This is important. They are going to fire the rockets. They are going to do the Kessel run, whatever you want to call it. But it's something that we haven't done since like the 1970s. This is deep space, okay? This is Earth orbit. This is all we've been doing for the last 40 years. We're going to deep space, and we're going to have to flip a switch, and at 5:30 tonight, fingers crossed, hopefully everything will go well. If not, they will do one more rotation, and they will land. They will abort the mission. But right now, I think maybe they're like around here. Like maybe they're, I don't know how long it takes, man, quite honestly. But at 5:30, this is where we're awaiting. We're awaiting translunar injection, and we're hoping that everything checks out. Right now, we're still in the 24-hour window where they're floating around. We're hoping everything checks out. And then if it does, we're going to do this. There it is. That's 10 days. That's the 10-day mission. First day, we're just going to be spinning around us. And then just to give you an idea of how long this kind of thing takes, we're just going to be spinning around us. And then for like the remaining 9 days, we're going to be traveling in deep space. It's pretty incredible. It's pretty fucking cool. To quote a young man, did you see this young man on CNN? I love this kid. All right, this kid was on CNN. This kid is my spirit animal. And I swear to God, I wish there were more kids like this. Peter was in the chat room yesterday when we were covering the launch live. And he said that he's got a 45-year-old kid who has never seen a rocket launch, not on TV, nowhere, doesn't care. But if you are a generation that's a little bit older than that, if you're a generation that's a little bit older than me, maybe Peter's probably still my generation, but he's a couple of years older. Peter probably remembers that being an event that you got in front of your TV for to watch one of the Apollo launches. I was born on July 20th, 1969, so I don't remember a whole lot of Apollo launches. The launches that I watched, that I woke up early and woke up for, were the boring-ass space shuttle launches. Those were the missions that I followed. Anyway, here, check this kid out. This kid was on CNN. This is live. This is the perils of live TV. This kid rocks. Let's listen to him live on CNN. He's out there at the launch.
Why do you want to be here? Why do you love space? Why do you love being a part of history?
We're going back to the freaking moon, that's why.
Why do you want to be here? Why do you love space? Why do you love being a part of history?
We're going back to the freaking moon, that's why.
That's the coolest little NASA nerd on the planet.
Why do you love
going back to the fucking moon? That's why, dude. I mean, seriously, do you not connect with what this could lead to? Do you not? God, have you no vision for the future? Are you just a peasant? What? I love. We're going back to the fucking moon. That's why, brah. That kid was awesome. All right, here. This was the chills moment. This during the live stream, I literally started to cry. I started to get these chills because there are these moments in the countdown, you know, that if you're a space nerd that you look for. It's the when they go around the room checking all of the different things, you know, flight, ground, command, and you're looking for all of these people to go, flight is a go, command is a go, ground is a go, right? They go through the whole, it's so cool. The mission control aspects of it is another thing that gives me chills. So the flight director would play a little thing. The flight director gave a little speech because the Artemis mission is so important. Even if like regular people don't realize it is right now. But this is like the thing that 100 years from now, there'll be stories about how it all began, right? And sending humans back to the moon's vicinity is certainly where it began. So the historical aspects of this were very much front and center for the people doing the launch. In mission control, she threw it to Commander Wiseman. Commander Wiseman is the first voice that you're going to hear, and then you're going to hear, hold on, let me pull this up. Yeah. All right. Here we go. So this is the mission commander. The first voice you're going to hear is Commander Rick Wiseman, who is the pilot. You're going to hear his message or not the pilot, he's the commander. You're going to hear his message. And then this is the mission control director, flight director, if you will. This is the person in charge of everything. I love this. And the whole thing just made me goosebumps or whatever, but then I started to tear up.
We are going for all humanity. Charlie, your Artemis 2 crew is go for launch. Full send.
I copy that. Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy. On this historic mission, you take with you the heart of this Artemis team, the daring spirit of the American people and our partners across the globe, and the hopes and dreams of a new generation. Good luck. Godspeed, Artemis 2. Let's go.
I just love it.
We are going for all humanity. Charlie, your Artemis 2 crew.
We're going for all humanity. That was pretty cool. All right, so let's do we have the actual launch? Let's see. Is this liftoff? Yeah, that's what we'll do. All right. Is this going to be a good liftoff or nope, that's not the one. There we go. Here it is. Let's watch this.
8, 7, RS-25 engines lit. 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition. And liftoff. The crew of Artemis 2 now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
Good roll pitch. Roger, roll pitch.
Houston now controlling the flight of integrity on the Artemis 2 mission around the moon.
Integrity, AMT high.
On time passing 30 seconds until the flights. Integrity passes the ultimate vehicle. Target milestone. Mission Control Houston see good performance and advantages. Space Launch System core stage. Integrity 3 miles in altitude. Traveling more than 1,200 miles per hour.
God, that's awesome. That is so cool. That is so badass. There's people. There's people inside that, and they are going, man. That is so cool. Oh, my God. All right, let's see. How about this one? This was cool. How'd you like to have been on like a continental flight while you're traveling to Miami? And then, you see this out your window. Here it is. This is the launch from another plane, just an airplane that was flying in the area. Check this out. God damn, that airliner is loud. That's pretty cool. I mean, you're in an airplane flying at 30,000 feet and you look down. I never see nothing. But just like things that look like old MasterCards. The fields. You ever seen the fields? They look like credit cards because they're all just. Anyway, point is, I ain't never seen nothing this cool while in an airplane. I just can't. That is too cool. All right, so Artemis, again, it's a 10-day mission. We will be checking in with it. But the next very crucial, very big moment comes at about 5:30 Central Time tonight. That is with the translunar injection, where they're going to decide, are we really doing this or are we just pulling our puds? And that'll come at 5:30 tonight. Translunar injection. That's the name of my free-form jazz punk band, Jazz Lunar Injection. Jazz Lunar Injection, that's what we call ourselves. No, we're Translunar Injection. Nah, maybe I don't want that. Maybe I don't want trans in my band. Maybe that's a bad branding for this time. I don't know. I don't want to alienate anybody. And then again, I don't want to misbrand myself. Jazz Lunar Injection. Who wants to join my band? Peter, you want to be in Jazz Lunar Injection? I know you're a music guy. Adam, I bet you could play drums in Jazz Lunar Injection. All right, let's keep moving here. What else do we have? Still thinking about that kid. That kid is awesome. All right, so do I want to do this? Here? All right, so Bruce Springsteen's out there. He's doing this tour. He hates Trump. I hate Trump. I love Bruce. Bruce has always been cool. So it's nice that he hates Trump too. Because, we've got the same worldview. All right, so he hates Trump. I hate Trump. Bruce is out there doing concerts. Basically, this is because there is no Democrat that we can turn into a cult of personality and have these rallies, right? Trump did great, man, as far as whipping up the enthusiasm and all of that. Trump was the cult of personality. He could do it all, and people were coming out to see him. He was the rock star. They didn't need anybody more than Ted Nugent and Kid Rock because Trump was the draw. Democrats ain't got that. Democrats ain't got nothing. All they got to do is they've got to whip people up by using whatever celebrities they can. So Springsteen, and we talked about it last week, going out on tour. They're going to do these anti-Trump tours. All kinds of people, Rage Against the Machine, and Eddie Vedder is now signed on. Michael Stipe from REM, a whole bunch of people. Whatever town they're playing, whoever that town's biggest rock star is, they'll be joining Bruce on stage. All right. So anyway, and he's getting very political. And I guess it kicked off. The first tour date was I don't know. Maybe it was yesterday. Whatever. Bruce started trending yesterday because, he's going hard. Trump sucks, man. He's going hard. And of course, MAGA's got to defend their Orange Pumpkin King. So now it's turned into a big deal and it got on Trump's radar. And Trump fired off just a crazy Truth Social rant about Bruce Springsteen, called him a dried up old prune, said that he's had plastic surgery, which, okay, let me find it. I was gonna just ignore the actual post verbatim, but we'll find it. I'll read it to you. I think it's only fair because it is funny. It's funny. Funny how it is funny in that it's obvious how thin-skinned he is. That's why it's funny. His reaction to this, which a normal person would just ignore it unless you are an out-of-control narcissist who believe that you're untouchable, godlike, and that everybody will do whatever you say. Then maybe you don't have to worry about not taking the bait. A normal person is just like, okay, it's political opposition. I'm just not going to give it any oxygen. But, Trump can't help himself. So Trump posts this. Here, I'll put it up for you just so you can see it. All right, Trump says, bad and very boring singer Bruce Springsteen, who looks like a dried up old prune. Bruce is aging, but I don't know, man. Bruce looks pretty fucking good for like 70 or whatever the hell he is. He's got to be in late 60s. Bruce looks pretty good. And honestly, President Trump, maybe you shouldn't be levying, aging celebrities, decline in looks. Maybe you shouldn't be using that. All right. So bad and very boring singer. We'll address the bad. This is something that has always bothered me. Bruce Springsteen is one of the best rock and roll singers in the business. This idea, this narrative that he's bad because he doesn't have Aretha Franklin octaves is nonsense. To me, it's people who say Bruce Springsteen can't sing are the same people who say that Tom Petty, Johnny Cash, Hank Williams, the same people who say that Bruce Springsteen can't sing, think those people can't sing either. We'll all agree on Neil Young. Neil Young can't sing. Dylan can sing. Dylan's an amazing singer. I don't like the way he sings. Okay, that's a personal choice. But the man has moved people with his vocals. Bob Dylan has very, very non-traditional vocals, but that doesn't mean he can't sing. It means that you're just programmed to think something else is right without actually allowing yourself to be an authentic judge of talent. You're just going with, he doesn't sound like people who got pretty voices, so he can't sing. Oh, shut the fuck up. So Bruce Springsteen is not bad. And as far as being very boring, well, yeah, if you're dead inside, if you don't really care or have empathy or love or aspirations, yeah, absolutely. He would be really boring to you. Bruce is only for people who have a little bit of soul in them. Bruce is only for people who, have struggled in their lives, who have been through shit. Those are the people that Bruce connects with. So, it doesn't surprise me that Fred Trump's boy hasn't really connected with the working class blue collar ethos of Bruce Springsteen. I get it. So bad and very boring singer Bruce Springsteen, who looks like a dried up prune. That's funny. But again, Trump shouldn't really be doing looks zings because at least he doesn't wear a diaper, right? I mean, come on, man. I mean, you really opened that can of worms, Trump? You use spray tan and wear a diaper, and you're obese. Okay. Let's see here. Try to prune. It also says, Donald Trump says Bruce Springsteen has suffered greatly from the work of really bad plastic surgeon. No, I don't believe that Bruce has ever had plastic surgery. No, I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, that's just a weird one. That's like just from out of left field that people are going to be like, oh, yeah, probably because of celebrity. Bruce is not a Hollywood celebrity, man. He lives in the woods in New Jersey, like in the middle of nowhere. I think in the middle of nowhere. I actually think he lives pretty close to where he grew up because he never abandoned his people. Anyway, plastic surgery is not a thing, but somehow Trump, who's probably considering plastic surgery, is now projecting. This is Trump's feelings on plastic surgery. He's projecting. It also says, Trump says that he's had a horrible and incurable case of Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. The guy, Bruce Springsteen, is a total loser. All right, by what metric are we using? Because, what metric are we using that he's a total loser? Globally beloved? All right, we're going to check that box. That's not total loser. One of the most successful recording artists in American history. Okay, we're going to check that box too. That doesn't say committed marriage to the same woman for like 30 years and they've raised 2 beautiful children together. Is that a loser? Oh, well, I don't know. Yeah, fuck you, dude. Donald Trump calling people who have a demonstrated way of living their life as good, decent Americans. You just can't sling shit at them, Donald Trump. You're fucking porn stars when your wife is pregnant, you asshole. Stop it. Anyway, Bruce is a loser. Bruce is a loser because Bruce doesn't like Trump. That's it. If Bruce loved Trump, Trump would be like, "Guy's the greatest." So that's what this is about. Bruce looking at Trump and going, "You're a lying sack of shit, man." That's all this is about. All this is about. This guy's a total loser who spews hate against a president, talking about himself in third person. Love it. Not totally normal. Going all wide receiver on us. This guy's a total loser who spews hate against the president who won a landslide election. Okay, say it enough and maybe people will think it's true. That's what's going on, the 200 rule. If you say a lie over and over, but people, at least 200 people of the initial lie will believe it, and those 200 people will infect other. It's just, con man math. 200 rule. It's the rule of 200. Anyway, he goes on to say, I won in a landslide. No, you didn't. Including the popular vote. Yeah, well, most people, when they win election, they win both the popular vote and the electoral college. That's kind of normal. But with you the last couple of times, that ain't been the case. So now you're trying to act like it's a big achievement. Oh, by the way, I also loved last night when Trump was talking about the Iran war, and he goes, there were like 7 other presidents who had a chance to do this. And I'm like, yeah, you were one of them. You were one of them 2 presidents ago. You didn't do anything about it. So that's this guy. He did. He got up there and he started blaming all of the other, thank God he became president here in 2020 or 2020. When did he win? 2024? Oh, God. Thank God I became president in 2024 because all the other presidents before me should have done something about Iran and not a single one of them did it, he said. Literally. Did he forget that he was one of them 2 presidents ago and he did nothing? Well, I'm doing it now. Okay, but then you can't really take shots at the other presidents who didn't do it then because they weren't president now. Maybe things have changed. Like, I don't know, maybe Barack Obama would have feared that his name was in the Epstein list and needed to create a war to make this diversion so that we'd all stop talking about how our president is probably a pedophile. Maybe that would have happened. I don't know. President Trump goes on to say in his Truth Social slam of Bruce Springsteen, he says, president who won in a landslide election, including the popular vote, all 7 swing states, that he did win, and 86% of the counties across America under Sleepy Joe and the debt. Like, now he's spinning. Now he's like, all right, how much misinformation can I cram into one text so that all of my stupid, because I don't want to have to communicate with my stupids 10 times today. How many mixed messages can I put in here? Under Sleepy Joe and the Dems, our country was dead, and now we have the hottest country by far anywhere in the world. MAGA should boycott his overpriced concerts. Oh, they already are. What do you think? Someone MAGA is going to Bruce Springsteen? First of all, there's not a whole lot of MAGA left. There's just not. I promise you, there are far more Bruce Springsteen fans in this country than there are MAGA fans, okay? MAGA is in trouble. It is like the absolute worst. And don't kid yourself, there's probably some crossover. There's probably a lot of people who are very troubled now because they were Bruce Springsteen fans. They didn't really understand the messages, but, they were fans anyway, who are now having to listen to, Trump tell them that Springsteen's bad. They're very confused. It says here, under Sleepy Joe and the Dems, our country was dead, and now we're the hottest country by far anywhere in the world. MAGA should boycott his overpriced concerts, which suck. That's great. See? That's the president that I didn't vote for. This sucks. I love that guy. I love the boorish piece of shit. I love when he drops the veneer and just becomes a fucking temperamental rich kid. He sucks. Save your hard-earned money. America is back. President DJT. All right. So that's the message. He's mad. He's mad because Bruce Springsteen is popular. Oh, and by the way, it's funny, because obviously MAGA has come out and all the MAGA bots are out. And it's like, the guy hasn't had a hit in years. And I'm like, he had the #1 global single 2 weeks ago. I don't know how you're defining hits, bro, but 2 weeks ago, he had the #1 most downloaded song on the fucking planet. So you better stow that. He ain't had hits in years. No, that's Kid Rock that you're talking about. He hasn't had hits in years. Bruce singles, whenever he releases one, go to #1 immediately. Always. That's what Bruce does, because his fans are global and they are legion. So stop it with the whole, I ain't heard him on the radio. Nobody's on the radio, man. Nobody is on the radio. By the way, geez, you guys, I wanted to mention this. So last night, I posted this on Twitter. I watched a really good podcast. It's the Billy Corgan podcast. He's so good. Billy is such a good interviewer. I mean, whatever you think of him as a musician and an artist, I happen to think he's very talented, but I know that a lot of people think that he's, kind of weird and he spins off in different directions. The whole wrestling thing and all that. Whatever. He's got this new podcast, and I don't even know how new it is. It's probably been around for a couple of years, but I've only recently discovered it in the last few months. And Billy Corgan, in the most recent episode, sits down with Courtney Love, and it's 2 hours. Okay, so first of all, I have to frame this for you. Maybe people don't know. Billy Corgan and Courtney Love have a crazy Courtney Love. So a lot of you know that, like, in the late 80s and early 90s, I was managing some bands and I was working with different bands, and that led me into radio. And then I got into radio and I was still managing bands for a while. Rob, our buddy in the chat room, who we know, the musical genius who's living out there in San Francisco. Rob Barr was in a band that I managed back around this time. So I was in a lot of clubs, and it was a cool time to be in the Chicago music scene because of, some of the people that I just mentioned. Courtney Love is bopping around. She's trying to push her band. You got people like the Pumpkins and Urge Overkill, Material Issue, and I'm trying to name some others that are bigger, but Liz Phair, Veruca Salt. It was a very cool time for a scene that exclusively existed in a neighborhood that's probably about 3 or 4 blocks wide. So it was a very cool time, and I wasn't of any significance or anything, but I was there. I was in the clubs. I was watching, and Courtney Love. This is probably 1990, 1991 or so. This is This is pre-Gish. So if you're familiar with the Smashing Pumpkins, Gish was like the first thing that they put out. It was a local sensation, and then that led to Siamese Dream, which led to global superstardom. But so this was pre-Gish. Anyway, Courtney Love had sort of a foot in every burgeoning alt music scene in America. This is just the truth. She was in LA, she was in San Francisco, she was in Seattle, she was in Chicago, she was in Minneapolis, and she formed an early band in order to be a part of all of these scenes. So one day she'd be playing with, the Replacements and Husker Du in Minneapolis and a part of that scene. And then she'd get in the car and she'd drive down to Chicago with her band. And then she'd spend a week hanging out with, Liz Phair and the Smashing Pumpkins or whoever. It was a scene. And Courtney was somebody Courtney was known in the scene. She was known from the fanzines. She was written about as this sort of polarizing figure. Anyway, point is this. Billy Corrigan and Courtney Love had a torrid Chicago rock scene love affair that ended when Courtney Love met Kurt Cobain. Kurt came and took Courtney away. This is pre-fame for any of them. And then all of these people sort of Courtney became famous because of her association with Kurt. The whole stuff when people were like, oh, what's she in a band now? No, she was in a band before. She was not she's a legitimate front person for rock, right? She's not a legitimate musician or anything like that. She doesn't write, but she's always been sort of that in the scene. She's very important, Courtney Love, to the whole Seattle Riot Girl scene, right? She was very instrumental in that, although, again, polarizing in that scene. Point is this. Billy Corrigan and Courtney Love have been linked by controversy for years and years and years, whether it's because of the torrid love affair, the then fights between the Smashing Pumpkins and Nirvana, it all believed to be because of Courtney. Was she Yoko? Did Billy Corrigan actually write that entire whole album that was massive? Right? That's always been a thing. You love those whole songs, Malibu and Miss World and all of that. You love those whole songs. Those are Billy Corrigan songs. He wrote those. Didn't get credit. Worked as a producer. They had some kind of problem with it. Anyway, point is this. These two people, the idea that they're going to sit down for a podcast and just chop it up for 2 hours, incredible. So go find that. It posted on YouTube yesterday. I watched it last night. I watched all 2 hours. It was fascinating. They didn't get into the shit that I wanted them to get into. They didn't get into that shit. All they really did was talk smack about grunge artists, which if you're Gen X, it's fun. If you're Gen X or if you're from that era, 90s rock and all of that, it's fun because they name names. And these are two people who are very successful and above it all. And let me tell you something. Kim Gordon of Sonic Youth, she gets the shit kicked out of her by both Billy Corrigan and Courtney Love. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. You can find that on YouTube. Just Billy Corrigan podcast or Billy Corrigan, Courtney Love. It's apparently a two-parter. They did 2 hours. And like I said, it was interesting just hearing them talk about that scene, talk about the 90s music scene and all of that. That was interesting, but they didn't get into any of the personal stuff. And so I'm thinking that's going to be part 2. I think part 2 is going to be all about who wrote what song and did you cheat on me with Kurt? That's the shit that I want. So that's very good. All right. So Trump is fighting with Bruce Springsteen, and Courtney Love and Billy Corrigan are fighting with Kim Gordon of Sonic Youth. So they start telling Courtney Love and Billy Corrigan are obviously big stars in the rock world. They made it. Their bands made it. They made millions of dollars. For generations, they are icons. I mean, I'm telling you, my son is 16 years old and loves the Smashing Pumpkins. So, that's still a thing. Courtney's a little more complicated because she's a bit of a Yoko type who is a celebrity for no other reason than, famous for being famous because she was married to Kurt Cobain. But then she did spin that into a pretty successful music career with Hole for a couple of years. And then she spun that into an acting career. So what is Courtney Love? I don't know, but she is famous. She is a celebrity, right? She is somebody who has achieved some level of stardom. I would say this, right? Billy Corgan and Courtney Love are far more famous than Kim Gordon, right? Some of you in the chat room may not even know who Kim Gordon is, and that proves my point. Some of you in the chat room who do know who Kim Gordon is like, yeah, I'd have to concede that point. All right. Sonic Youth was a better band than Smashing Pumpkins and anything Courtney ever did, but I have to concede that, Billy Corgan and Courtney Love are far more famous than Kim Gordon. So that's why this is interesting to hear these two far more famous people talk about how mean Kim Gordon was to them when they were coming up. They're like, she was so mean. She was like the gatekeeper of cool. And I don't know who appointed. Oh, and the stories they told back and forth. I think Kim Gordon is cool. Like, I've always thought that she had this sort of aloof, sort of queen of indie alt rock, right? I always thought her and Darcy from the Pumpkins, Darcy Retzky, I thought they were like the two arbiters of what female cool in 90s grunge rock was. And it turns out that even Billy Corgan and Courtney Love were like, yeah, she was the gatekeeper. Everybody ran to her to determine if they could like somebody or not. They also told a really good story about how Billy Joe from the Green Day criticized the Smashing Pumpkins. And it turned out that was somehow Kim Gordon fueled, like Billy Joe from Green Day was trying to be accepted by the cool kids. Kim Gordon, so he said something against the Pumpkins, which anyway, it's very interesting. If you like that kind of thing, if you're from that era and you love these stories, it's what is the podcast called? It's called Billy Corgan. Yeah, well, geez, here we go. I'll show you a little bit of it just so we get the name. All right. Oh, also, and this is a real problem. This is this almost made the entire thing unwatchable. Okay, where is it? Here it is, right here. All right, it's called The Magnificent Others. It's Billy Corgan's
big games, big finales, big relief.
The Magnificent Others. I don't know why I couldn't remember that, but let me show you something just as an example of why this is so. It's very interesting, but it's also infuriating. Here's what's infuriating about it. I think Courtney Love's on drugs. I think Courtney Love is either on drugs or she's a little bit drunk, and you can't have a conversation with her. Billy Corgan is so articulate, and he is so grounded, and he is so free with telling these stories that, are very interesting to people who were fans. And he can't get a story out. Because every fucking 5 words she goes, and that's like my dad. My dad was like that too. And there's probably 100 times in this where Billy Corgan has to go, okay, can I finish my story? I mean, Courtney Love has absolutely no ability to have a conversation with somebody, and it's so irritating. Let me give you an example here. Let's see.
I've chased you down many rabbit holes.
I know, Billy. Like, this is terrifying.
My 2 memories of watching you play at the Avalon that night, was the cool guitar stuff happening, and then this just never-ending scream. And what is the source of this?
You wouldn't give me money for smokes.
You're still mad.
I am.
All right, hold
Courtney,
on.
thank you for being on my podcast.
Anytime, Billy Corgan.
I love it. Okay, well, it's going to be a 100-part series.
I know.
So this is part 1 and 2.
I know.
Okay, let's start here.
Okay.
All right, hold on. Well, let me give you an example of how irritating she is.
She's like, well, I know who's.
All right, this might be a good place. All right, so let's just watch this for a little while. I don't know where we've just jumped to, but I promise you, Billy's in the middle of a story that he's been trying to tell for about 10 minutes, and he keeps getting interrupted. So let's just watch how irritating Courtney Love is. I think she's drunk. I think she's on pills. Maybe we can play What Is She On? But here, I'm just going to randomly play some, and it's so irritating how she keeps interrupting him.
Paul, and he's John. Like, I was like, actually, you're Paul, but I'll take Paul. I'll take Paul all day long. And it was a big insult at the time. Like, really? Paul's an insult? And okay, John's good too, but John is like, John was great, but John is representative in that moment of like the punk part. Like, I'm punk and you're just Paul. I'm like, God, I wish I was Paul. Like one finger of Paul would be great. But the fact that they didn't follow the Lee Ronaldo record, like she could write choruses, but she didn't want to. Right. And like, you know, I'd see her on like my own, you know, biographies of court.
All right, wait. I want to get to a point
You
where
know,
he's talking, and then you'll see how she interrupts him.
Bus trader.
Let me tell you a story and see if you,
Oh, perfect. He's going to try and tell a story. Watch how irritating this is. Courtney Love will not let him speak for more than 7 seconds at a clip.
Wasn't he working
let me
class
tell you.
Jewish
Let me,
from
let me
Hibbing?
let me tell you a story and see if you remember this story.
Okay.
We were both in London together. We were in a relationship at the time.
I remember that.
Good times.
You wouldn't give me money for smokes.
You're still mad.
I am. Because I had to take a tube back to Cat in Wood Green. And that tube was, like, now I live there. It's a long way from central London. Go on. I'm just saying. I had to buy, in England, you can do this, buy 5 cigarettes at a time with like a shilling, like a pence, whatever. All right, go on.
I hadn't yet outgrown my my parochial,
Oh, right.
Roman Catholic sort of stodginess.
Yeah, I remember
that
things.
that came later. So God bless on that.
Yeah, no, I love the innocence.
No resistance to the criticism.
Okay, no, it was just
okay, but here we are, and
you have more money than me.
Well, I had the only money between us.
I fish and chips for days.
I think I was living on at the time I was living on a 75-pound per diem a week.
Oh no, I know. It was
so you
thin.
You knew enough to complain about not getting cigarettes, but you also knew that we couldn't afford a cab ride across London. So we walked.
Right.
I don't know if you remember this. So I'll get to it. The reason we had to walk across London, and you can imagine the two of us in 1990, whatever, walking across London.
Yeah. I kind of knew it though from 81, right? Did I know a little bit about London?
Oh, I had chops. You had chops.
Yeah.
We were staying in Hyde Park.
Yeah.
And the reason we had to walk across London is you had to do something. You had to get your passport updated or something.
Okay.
There was some sort of contrivance where I need to get a stamp or something, or I'm not going to be able to do X, Y, or Z.
Okay. You did or I did?
You did.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So we had to go to some.
It was a contrivance?
Well, not a contrivance in the sense that's why we're walking.
Okay.
That's the reason we're walking across London.
Just let him tell the fucking
I'm
story.
probably using the word. Tell me the right use of the word, please.
Well, it means when you fake something.
Okay, so I'm using it wrong.
Okay, contrived, right? Contrivance. I'm just saying with your incredible vocabulary.
Okay, no, you caught me. That's good.
Okay.
No, so I don't know what the right word, but that's the reason. That's the
reason.
The reason.
All right,
okay.
Come down to our level.
So here we are in the English sun, walking 2 hours one direction and 2 hours back the other way.
Oh man, I don't remember this at all.
It was very long.
Okay.
So you can imagine 2 hours this way and 2 hours that way.
In the sun.
Yeah.
She doesn't remember it at all. It's very detailed memory for Billy Corrigan. And, 1990, Courtney Love doesn't remember this at all.
Arguments, jokes. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Don't talk to me for 20 minutes. I'm going to walk ahead of you.
Virgin Megastore?
Somewhere around there.
Okay.
Okay, so here
all
we are.
Right, anyway, jump out of it. It is irritating in that she will not let him tell stories. That probably wasn't the best example of that. But trust me, if you watch the full 2 hours, you're going to be screaming. You're going to be screaming at her going, would you shut the fuck up and let him tell this story? Anyway, it's very good other than that. There's a lot of interesting things, but again, specific to a certain era that you had to have grown up in. The Magnificent Others. It's Billy Corrigan and his special guest, the part 1 of 2-parter with Courtney Love. Hopefully in the next part, they'll get into the Kurt stuff and the sleeping around and the love triangle and all of that good stuff. Let's see. What else do we have here? Oh, let's listen to this. This is pretty freaky, you guys. So TSA's all jacked up and, we always, we hear about near misses. Hell, we don't hear about near misses. We are now in an era where we are expecting collisions. Ugh. I mean, whether it's the Army helicopter slamming into the FedEx jet over there at Dulles or what happened recently, here's something that happened a couple of nights ago. Now, I don't know that this is indicative of anything that's happening with the government shutdown or whatever, but man, is this scary. How this could happen, I don't know how this can happen. And I bet you that this kind of thing happens, well, I mean, I would say more than we've ever heard of it happening. But then there's like an NTSB director who's like, we've never heard of this happening before. So a plane was flying into New York with a whole bunch of people on board. Plane is flying into New York. The plane is flying into LaGuardia in New York. And the plane is accidentally talking to Kennedy in New York. And the Kennedy control tower guys are like, what? Where are you? Anyway, think of how horrifying that is. The pilot didn't know. The pilot was getting instructions for an airport that he wasn't. Anyway, just listen to this. It is pretty. And again, I'm not saying it's not, I don't know that this is indicative of anything that's happening as far as TSA and all of that goes. They are overworked. We know that, these people, but this seems to be more pilot error than TSA. It is a pretty compelling listen though. So check this out. It says, excuse me, mid-air confusion as pilots told he's not speaking with, that's a terrible headline. That's crazy. Here's the headline. That's crazy. Mid-air confusion as pilots.
Running a small business, your network has to handle it all. That's where a fiber-only provider falls short. You need...
Fucking so loud. That's crazy. Mid-air confusion as pilot told he's not speaking with wrong airport tower while on approach to land. That's fucking AI bullshit. That's an incorrect headline. Told he's not speaking with wrong airport? No, it's confusion because he's told he's not speaking with the right airport tower. Isn't that weird? AI. There you go. Well, I hope Mediaite saved some money. Didn't have to
was on the radio with Fusion in the
Hold
cockpit
on.
of a Delta.
Oh my God, why is everything so fucking loud? Sorry about that. Oh, this might be why. Okay.
Regional jet.
All right, let's listen to this. All right, here we go. Do they still let you? I haven't been in an airplane in a while. Do they still let you listen? I remember when I was a younger man, you used to be able to listen to the pilot and the tower from headphones in your seat. If there was like an option, you could listen. I don't know if they allow you to do that anymore. All right, here we go. So again, this is a pilot landing at the wrong airport, or he thinks he's at the wrong. You just listen. Here you go. This is
about to land as scheduled at New York's LaGuardia Airport, except it was on the radio with a different New York airport, the wrong one, as it turned out. Here's senior transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve.
Delta Connection Flight 5752 was descending on final approach to land at New York's LaGuardia Airport earlier this month, flying just hundreds of feet over Queens.
That's our 5752, confirm clear to land for.
That's who?
Brickyard 5752.
Brickyard 5752. I'm sorry, where are you?
The pilots were talking to controllers
sorry, what?
in the JFK Tower about 10 miles away on the wrong radio frequency.
2 mile final, Brickyard 5752.
2 mile final where?
Runway 4.
At LaGuardia?
Yes, ma'am.
This is Kennedy Tower. Please go to LaGuardia Tower.
Oh, my goodness. All right.
Prompting this from another pilot.
That's crazy.
If the airplane would have landed at LaGuardia without receiving landing clearance, it would have been a very bad mistake.
Former NTSB chair Robert Sumwalt is a retired 737 captain.
I flew for 31 years. I was an airline pilot for 24 years. I've not heard of this particular error occurring. We want to learn from it so we can keep it from happening again.
Now, the flight was coming from Washington, D.C., operated by Republic Airways. Republic confirms the pilots opted to do a go-around before eventually landing safely at LaGuardia as intended, but only after coordinating with the proper control tower. The FAA says they're looking into what happened, Tony.
all right. Now, I don't know, enough about enough to really have an opinion there, but that sounds to me, it seems to me like it was pilot error. It sounds like he was on the wrong channel. Why was he on the wrong channel? Was it his fault? Did he not double check, or did somebody give him the wrong information? I don't know. But again, I don't know that we can just file that away as another example of how the TSA in this time of government shut. I don't know if that's really indicative of that. Sounds like this is a pilot thing. All right. Let's see. What else do we have here? Let's see. Jaden Ivey's wife. I wanted to talk about this. Jaden Ivey, we were talking about him the last few days. Well, yesterday anyway. Jaden Ivey, former Chicago Bull, number 4 pick for the Detroit Pistons back in 2022. He's on his, I don't know if he's got a third team in him, but he's 2 teams since being drafted, number 4 overall. Jaden Ivey was let go by the Chicago Bulls a couple of nights ago because Jaden Ivey went on an anti-Catholic and anti-NBA Pride Night rant. And, you know, it's being used politically by people who are on the far right or bots or whatever, just trying to stir up any kind of division we can. And if you can do, they're persecuting Christians in America again. If you can do that, you know, you shoot your shot. You shoot your shot on that one and you see what kind of traction you can get socially. So that's what happened there. And all of a sudden, the absolute worst people are all like claiming Jesus needs to be heard because, you know, we're trying to silence Jaden Ivey. I explained yesterday how Chicago, being a very Catholic city, Billy Donovan, probably the most Catholic head coach in the NBA, you know, they didn't take so much to him, not only Pride Night, that's a problem, but the big problem for the Bulls was when he said Catholicism is a fake religion and you're all posers. That's what he said. That's what a member of the Chicago Bulls said. His coach is a poser, team, you know, Arturis is a poser. They're all Catholics. The entire city is Catholic. Adam yesterday goes, oh, yeah, okay, just 1/3. Adam Moreno. When I said Chicago's like 90% Catholic, he's like, God, actually, it's just 1/3 Catholic. Yeah. 1/3 Catholic. Okay, I'm sorry that I didn't go to AI and get the exact numbers. 1/3 Catholic. Do you know how much of a majority that is? You don't think there's only 3 religions, do you? There's probably, and then we gotta factor in people who don't have religion. 1/3 of the people in Chicago are Catholic. Not 1/3 believe in Jesus or 1/3 are religious. No, 1/3 of it's a very Catholic city, dude. Stop it. It's always fact checking for no reason. Anyway, that was the problem. The Chicago Bulls get nobody to go to games, and they don't need to turn the churches off. They need the churches to load kids in buses and bring them on a Saturday when they've only sold 3,000 seats. That's what the Bulls need. And, you know, you just can't tolerate this. But here is the part that nobody wanted to make public until it was forced to be made public. He wasn't really fired for that. That was the straw, or cut or released. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. Why do you think the Detroit Pistons shoved off a former 2 years ago? He was the number 4 pick in the draft. Why do you think they just threw him in to a 3-way, 3-team deal with the Chicago Bulls? Because the Detroit Pistons were tired of dealing with him. He's a problem. Now, why is he a problem? Is he a problem because he's a jerk? No, not apparently. He's a problem because the people who know him and love Jaden Ivey most believe that he is severely mentally ill right now, that he is going through something, the way people go through shit. Except he's a super rich 24-year-old millionaire with 1 million people following him in a very, you know, controversial take going right now, that we all need to be far more Jesus-driven. He's crazy. He started talking about how everybody's abandoned him, that his wife won't even return his text messages anymore. His family won't talk to him. The Detroit Pistons sent him away. The coach for the Detroit Pistons said in a statement last night that we hope he gets the help he needs. So it ain't just the Chicago Bulls making up some nonsense about his mental issues. He's got problems. I told you about the reporters in Detroit that he chased through the parking lot, questioning them about their fidelity to their wives and how they need to start going to church. This is not something you're supposed to be doing. Then there was another story about him constructing some kind of a tower altar and climbing on top of it in the locker room and preaching fire and brimstone, and everybody just ignoring him and just being like, oh, fuck. The fuck is this? And yeah, his wife isn't talking to him because his wife is like, you need to get help. So anyway, the wife is talking now, okay? Just so we know. The wife of Jaden Daniels is now talking, and she's mad, and she doesn't want to talk. She doesn't want to come out publicly, but she has to come out publicly. You know why? Because weird-ass fucking Christians are now threatening her life for abandoning him simply because he's a warrior for Jesus. She's getting inundated with hate mail and death threats. A woman, a mother of 3 young children, whose husband is spiraling out of control, is now having to go public with her side of things, very private things, because she's being assaulted by complete strangers all over the internet. Because she's some gold-digging bitch who's not down with Jesus. No, she's married to a man who, if you think that these public things are, well, he just did this publicly. Imagine what he's like in the house on a Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Have you ever been around a person who is slipping off of their mental anchor? Have you ever been around somebody like that? It's horrifying. And you don't know what to do because for the longest time, it's just, well, that's just something really weird that they're doing or saying, or why is he acting like that? But it's not enough to call a doctor or an ambulance, and then he'll just deny it, and then he'll be mad at me because I said he was great. It's not like all of a sudden they're like, it is like a slow build to absolutely losing your shit. And that forces the people who love you to either get the fuck out of there. There are ultimatums. You need to get help. You need to get help. And I need to get the kids away from you because I don't know what to do. And that's what Jaden Ivey's wife is doing. Okay? She's not abandoning him because he loves Jesus and she's a gold-digging NBA bitch. No, she got her kids out of that situation. Young kids, 3 little kids. Jaden Ivey's wife breaks her silence after one particular lie sparks drama during NBA stars' sad spiral. Exiled NBA ex-first-round pick Jaden Ivey's wife, Caitlin, disputed her husband's lies that she is not talking to him during the fallout from his shocking Bulls release Monday. It says here, after he made anti-LGBTQ and anti-Catholicism comments. The franchise, Chicago Bulls, deemed these messages conduct detrimental to the team. Well, the Catholic shit is definitely detrimental to ticket sales. That is, what's detrimental? Well, that. I just told you exactly what is detrimental about that. Oh, you didn't know? It was a mistake. Well, cat's out of the bag, brother. I'm sorry. Fucking Catholics hate you now, and we can't have you on this team. Oh. Caitlin, the wife, offered a retort Wednesday on her Instagram story with a screenshot featuring the couple and their 3 children, headlined with, so this is what she wrote. She only wanted you because you were in the NBA. Because apparently that's what she's, getting hammered with. Here, let me show you. We'll show you the picture. Seemed like a nice family. Can we make it bigger? Does it make it bigger? That's what she said. All right, here you go. Here's the family. Boop, boop. All right, there it is right there. You see them, very nice. Very nice looking young family with money and all of that good stuff. Hold on, let me continue with the story here while we're looking at that. All right, it says Caitlin offered her retort Wednesday on her Instagram story, featuring the couple, with a picture featuring the couple, their 3 children. It was headlined with, she only wanted pop-ups. Oh, pop-up technology, man. It's getting to the point where when you scroll down, the pop-up moves with you. Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. Caitlin offered her retort Wednesday on her Instagram story with a screenshot featuring the couple and their 3 children, headlined with, she only wanted you because you were in the NBA. She says, we've been communicating all morning that day, Caitlin said in response to her husband's claim on March 31st that she was not even texting me. People say things for attention. Do not be deceived, Caitlin says. Caitlin also shared hateful messages that she's allegedly received from fans after Jalen's comments, ranging from your life is a effing lie to you're a slut wife. I don't know. All right. So she's getting hammered by stuff. I don't need to go through these. She said these DMs, and there have been many more, over one lie that he spoke on my name, she wrote in her story. If you know me, you know I have never abandoned that man through all his trials. Now, he hasn't had any real, it's not like he was caught chasing prostitutes, drunk driving, or beating people up in a bar. And, we don't know about any of these trials. They've all been kept quiet, kind of quiet, like they're private. And here's the wife alluding to that, look, this isn't the first time, okay? Anyone who knows me knows that I've never abandoned that man through all of the trials. So apparently he's been for a while. And I still haven't abandoned him now. There is obviously a lot more going on than you know. So leave your conspiracies and guesses to yourselves, she said. All right, this is the wife. She does not want to come out and publicly go, he's crazy or whatever, because, you don't do that. And here's the other problem when you're with somebody who's spiraling. You cannot call them crazy. You cannot. Everybody is calling them crazy. That if you call them crazy, you're the enemy. So you can't use that kind of verbiage. If you're trying to connect and do something in the best interest of somebody that's spiraling, you cannot call them, you're acting crazy. Don't do that. If you say that, you are dead with them. You will not be able to make any progress that is going to help them because they will instantly see you as the enemy because they don't see themselves as crazy. But everybody else is saying it. So she's not saying that here. She's doing it. She's probably advised. They've got money. They got multis of millions. He was a 4th round draft in the NBA. They got money. So she's probably got advisors here or therapists or whatever who are totally telling her exactly how she should word this. Don't say he's crazy. Just say there's been a lot of trials and that people don't know about what's going on. And that if you know me, you know I have never abandoned that man through all of this, and I still haven't abandoned him now. There's obviously a lot more going on than you know, so leave your conspiracies and guesses to yourselves, the wives of Jaden, Ivy says. Jaden and Caroline both attended Purdue, got engaged in 2022. Let's see a cute little picture of them. Here's a cute little picture of them in happier times. Look at them right there. What is that? Where, is that their kitchen? Is that the kitchen in their home? Is that an NBA? No, it looks like I don't know what this is. This is probably at the stadium. It looks like maybe it's picture day. Maybe they're doing picture. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, the wife of Jaden Ivey is telling you all to shut the fuck up. You don't know anything about what's going on and you need to just keep quiet. And like I said, man, it's a sad story. It is a very sad story. I hope that he gets his shit together. I hope he gets another shot because he's obviously got something going on that can be fixed. I don't know if it can be fixed permanently. It can be managed. It can be managed if you just know what's going on. And he is in a place right now with 3 beautiful little kids and a wife who seems to be going through a lot. He seems like a guy who can save everything, and it ain't going to come through prayer, brother. I promise you that he's one of these people that doesn't believe that there is anything that science can do about this, that whatever ails him can be fixed if Jesus deems it so. And that in and of itself is an example to me of mental illness, if that's what you believe. All right, there's the latest on Jaden Ivey. Be nice if shortly we'll move on and never have to mention him again until he gets picked up on a roster, and then we'll all be like, "Oh, good for him. I'm glad he did okay." Well, let's let him just go. All right, here's some big news. Let's talk a little football news. Here's some big football news. This is crazy. This guy, man. This guy. Fuck, whatever. Hall of Famer at the bank, man. Let me tell you. May never be a Hall of Famer in the NFL, but Kirk Cousins is absolutely a Hall of Famer at the bank. Woo! No better gig in America than being an NFL backup veteran quarterback. That is the best. Now, being a backup quarterback in the NFL is a good gig. But if you're just like a guy who was drafted in the 6th round and you've been a backup for like 4 years and you've got a pretty steady guy in front of you and you're just kind of, that's okay. You will incrementally get paid if they like you and you stick around because, veteran minimums and the quarterback position and all that, you will make a lot of money. But the guys who make the big money are the guys who had 1 or 2 good seasons back when they were younger as a starter, who then hang on for 15 years as a veteran backup. Those guys make absurd amounts of money for doing absolutely nothing. We got one in Chicago, Case Keenum. He's still making a pretty healthy NFL salary And Case Keenum ain't never done nothing outside of like 3 games in 2018. Case Keenum. Anyway, Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins is very boring. But, look, Kirk Cousins is pretty good. Kirk Cousins is a pretty good quarterback. He's still starting quarterback caliber in the NFL. But he's on his way now to milking the next 5 years or so of his career as a backup because he's signed a big deal with the Las Vegas Raiders. This comes to us via Shefty. Adam Schefter reports that Kirk Cousins is going to sign a 5-year, $172 million deal with the Raiders. That it says here in reality is basically just a 1-year deal that's fully guaranteed at $20 million. I'll take it. I'll take that guaranteed $20 million to play for the god-awful Raiders. So he's going to make $20 million guaranteed. It's the larger deal is $172 million, but that may never be fulfilled. What will be fulfilled is the guarantee of $20 million in Kirk Cousins' pocket for next season. It also contains a club option for 2 years at $80 million. Now, here's where it gets fun. So he's making all of that money from the Las Vegas Raiders, but also Shefty lets us know the Falcons are going to be paying Cousins an additional $8.7 million this season. The Raiders, another $1.3 million, and Las Vegas also agreed to pay its new quarterback a fully guaranteed $10 million roster bonus. Oh, Jesus, Kirk Cousins. And maybe most notably, it also sets another new mark. This will be the 11th straight NFL season in which Cousins' contract will be fully guaranteed. 11 seasons of Kirk Cousins, who is fine at best and meh probably. Look, I don't care who your team is. If Kirk Cousins is suddenly your starting quarterback, you're not excited. You're not terribly upset either. You're just like, yeah, all right, he can win some games. He can sometimes uncork one, and he's a field manager. Anyway, the point is this: 11 seasons in a row, this dude, veteran backup, this dude is going to be making guaranteed money. And it's a strange situation. I shouldn't really say veteran backup because we don't know that he wasn't brought into Atlanta to be a backup. He wasn't a backup in Minnesota, right? He got surpassed by Penix down there in Atlanta. So, they didn't need the old guy. They thought the young guy was ready. And now he's going to Las Vegas, who has the number 1 overall pick in the draft. And everybody believes they're going to take Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza with the first pick in the draft, which, we don't, just because they signed Kirk Cousins, we don't go, oh, I think they're going the linebacker, one of the linebackers out of Ohio State, Arnell Reese or Sonny Styles or something. No, they're still taking Mendoza at number 1. You can lock that in. But what makes this so interesting is that now they've got a veteran quality backup who is, and this is probably the most important thing about Kirk Cousins, just a fantastic influence. Just a terrific on a young quarterback coming into the league. Look, Kirk Cousins ain't taking you out for, strip club benders. All right. Kirk Cousins is going to be like a good mentor. He's going to be like, he's very Christian. And interestingly enough, so is Fernando Mendoza. So maybe that's what they're thinking. But what I do like to see here, and I say again, I classified Kirk Cousins as one of those veteran backups, and we don't know that he's a backup yet, but we do know that they are going to draft Fernando Mendoza at number 1. So you would think that, maybe Kirk Cousins would be the backup, or do we? Because this is how quickly things change in the NFL. It was just like 5 or 6 years ago that I said, remember my friend D? I said to my friend D like 5 or 6 years ago, because it was when I first moved back to Dallas. I said to him, I go, what's crazy? We're going to start seeing people going for it on 4th down all the time. This was 5 or 6 years ago. And it was because of these stupid metrics. Because we started to see it incrementally more often. And I just offhanded said, I bet you that we're going to start seeing people going for it on 4th down all the time. We go for it on 4th down all the time now in the NFL. Completely changed. That is going for it on fourth down is obscene to anybody who watched football in the 80s and in the 90s. They never went for it on fourth down. It was the rarest of occasions. Now it's regular. We do it all the time. Okay, I'm not criticizing it. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just using it as an example to show you how quickly the game changes and what we're willing to accept becomes normal. It's totally normal now to go for it. We got to go for it. Like everybody's like, we got to go for it. The other thing that changed here, and maybe we're seeing this in Vegas, maybe we're seeing it change back. It wasn't until very recently that if you drafted a quarterback in the first round, like if you took like the number 1 overall pick and he was a quarterback, maybe number 1 was different, but no, I don't think so. I don't think it was. If you took like a quarterback in the first round on your team, that quarterback didn't start. That you didn't draft a kid in April and then have him start for you at quarterback in September. No, it was fully understood that quarterbacks sat on the bench for a year or two, like Aaron Rodgers did behind Brett Favre, or the way Steve Young did behind Joe Montana. You could have 2 high-quality quarterbacks because one was expected to be the younger one who would sit and learn on the bench. I think Patrick Mahomes, is he the last big first-round quarterback that, sat on the bench? Nobody sits on the bench in the last 5 years. You draft a quarterback, you throw him into the hopper, and before you can blink, he's Zach Wilson, and everybody's giving up on him. Maybe the Oakland Raiders, or the Las Vegas Raiders, I should say, maybe the Raiders are looking at this differently. Maybe the Raiders are going, yeah, you know what? We're going to draft Mendoza, but we're going to start Cousins. We're going to let Cousins start, and Fernando can learn, and I hope so. Because I don't think it's crazy. I'll give you an example. I think that Justin Fields was thrown to the wolves with the Chicago Bears. I don't think Justin Fields should have started his first season, but he did. I mean, he wasn't supposed to. I think that was an Andy Dalton thing, right? Where Andy Dalton. Anyway, we're rushing quarterbacks. And I don't know, it looks like the Las Vegas Raiders, they might be, they're definitely still going to take Fernando Mendoza. But maybe Kirk Cousins is their intended starter. And I think that's great. Quarterbacks got to sit in there. It can't all be Caleb Williams. Can't all just come out. You got to, we've got a lot of quarterback busts in the first round over the last few drafts, and that's because they're being thrown to the wolves. That's my opinion. I'm standing by it. Okay. Let's see here. What else do we have? Oh, more sad news from the NFL. I don't know if this is sad or not, but Puka Nacua is going to rehab. I bet he doesn't even need rehab. He's just had a couple of public silliness things, and he needs to clean it up because he's going to be, isn't he a free agent next year? He's going to be the highest paid wide receiver in free agency history. He's going to reset the bar. I don't even know if that's, appropriate or that it's, warranted, but he will. So he's got to make sure that nothing affects that next year. And Puka Nacua has had himself a couple of instances. One was a couple of months ago. It was stupid, and it has nothing to do with alcohol consumption. It just has to do with him being stupid. He went on some TikToker's, live stream or something, and the TikToker made him do a dance that was apparently an anti-Semitic dance. And we watched it, and Puka Nacua is just, he's like a dumb kid from Hawaii. He doesn't know that there's a thing called a Jew dance. He doesn't know what that is. So anyway, this streamer was like, if you score a touchdown, you got to do this dance. And Puka Nacua, being a nice guy and a guest on a podcast, like, okay, what's the dance? I'll do it. And then the kid does this thing called a Jew dance. He doesn't call it a Jew dance. He just says the dance goes like this. And then Puka Nacua does it. And he goes, you mean like this? And he's like, yeah. And Puka goes, I'll do it in the end zone. I'll do that dance for you and your 14 gazillion followers, because I'm not stupid. I'm trying to get my brand out there. I'm Puka Nacua. So then, of course, it's revealed before the game, before he has an opportunity to do an end zone dance, it's revealed that that's an anti-Semitic, dance and all that stuff. So now he's got to apologize, and he's got to be like, yeah, I didn't know what it was. I'm just a dumb kid from Hawaii. I'm like 24. The fuck? I don't have any long-standing hatred for, I haven't been radicalized against Jewish people. My lawyer's Jew. My agent's Jewish. So he had to apologize for that, but that has nothing to do. That doesn't have anything to do with being drunk or anything. But on New Year's Eve, there was an incident. On New Year's Eve of this past year, apparently he bit a woman. He bit her. I mean, it could have been worse. Probably just being playful. I don't know. Of all the things that can go wrong on New Year's Eve with a high-profile athlete that then, results in him entering rehab, just like biting some chick partying with pro athletes on New Year's Eve doesn't seem all that terrible. But again, free agent next year, got to make sure that the brand is clean. Puka Nacua has checked into a rehab facility following allegations that he bit a woman while drunk on New Year's Eve. The Rams receiver's attorney, Levi McCathern. That doesn't sound like a Jew. I said his attorney was probably Jewish. That doesn't, Levi sounds Jewish. That sounds almost Talmudic. Like Levi. Levy is a Jewish last name. Levi, but again, Levi is a first name. That sounds more like, Levi, get off the shed. It sounds like that. So anyway, his attorney is Levi McCathern. Puka's attorney, Levi McCathern, confirmed with the California Post on Wednesday that his client has been at a luxury treatment center in Malibu. Oh, I'm sure that'll be good. While McCathern said the move was not a direct response to the lawsuit, Nacua's bite accuser, Madison Atiabi, filed against him last month. The lawyer did say the combination of stories y'all have run is certainly a contributing factor. All right, so the attorney is saying that, look, he's not going into rehab because of the biting incident. He's going into rehab because of, well, you guys have run a whole bunch of stories. That's what the attorney said. I don't know what all the stories were. I mean, I mentioned two. We know about the biting. This one, we know about the Jew dance thing that he apologized for and was like, I didn't know that was a Jew dance. I didn't even know there was a Jew dance. All right. Anyway, Puka. He was in there a substantial period of time before any of these allegations broke with Madison, his attorney said. Okay, so apparently the attorney's saying, yeah, look, he's not going to rehab because he bit her. He was already in rehab when you guys found out he bit her. Okay. That makes sense to a stupid person. That's great. No defense of anything. McCathern added that Nacua's goal with the stay at rehab is to improve his overall behavior in every aspect of his life, and to prove that he can do that. Okay, good for him. We look forward to that. By the way, in other rehab news, Tiger Woods has petitioned a judge to allow him to leave the country because he's on trial now for DUI. He's got himself some problems, and he pled not guilty to DUI yesterday down there in Florida. Is that in Florida? It's in Florida. Yeah. So he pled not guilty to the DUI. And then he's like, I got to go to rehab. But the rehab's in like Switzerland. So he had to ask the judge. He's like, hey, judge, I am not supposed to leave the county, but I got to go get clean, man. And so the judge is like, I'm talking to Tiger Woods. Granted. Oh, by the way, Tiger, when you get done, come on back. Maybe we'll shoot 18 at the club. Tiger, would you like that? Yes, judge, anything you want. So Tiger's being allowed to leave the country to go seek some kind of world-class, global elite rehab experience there in the mountains of Switzerland. Good for him. I hope it works. And what do you think? Tiger's never going to come back because of a DUI? What are you worried about? Tiger Woods is a very high-profile, famous person. He's coming back. All right. So Puka is in some Tony Malibu place rehab center, and Tiger Woods is going over to Switzerland for some rehab center there. All right, now let's end it with this. All right, this will be the last one that we'll do today. Let's talk about the Lindsey Buckingham story. I told you about this at the beginning. I love Lindsey Buckingham. Lindsey Buckingham's cool. Now, why is he cool? He's cool because he doesn't seek the spotlight. He's just kind of a rock star, and he's not all flamboyant and weird. He's very talented. He's a great singer, good guitar player. As I said, Fleetwood Mac was never better, never more successful. He made them all their money. They were never as good as when Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks were leading that band. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Christy McVie is great, but let's be honest, Mick Fleetwood does nothing. He just looks weird in drums. That's, you could get that anywhere. Then you got John McVie. I don't know what he does. Apparently him and Mick founded the band, and then they got a bunch of talented people. So because they founded it, they're seen as the driving forces, when in reality, I mean, that band is That band is Lindsey Buckingham, Stevie Nicks, and Christy McVie. That's who it is. So it is. I'm sorry. Yet the two people in the band that I didn't mention are the ones that the band is named after. The band is named after Mick Fleetwood and John McVie. That's why they're called Fleetwood Mac. And yet everybody else in the band, except Christy McVie, because she was married to John McVie, but that's not her real name. Point is, Lindsey Buckingham's great. Lindsey Buckingham's cool. Lindsey Buckingham got a really weird. He was assaulted in Los Angeles yesterday while going to a doctor's office. I don't know, how old is Lindsey Buckingham? I don't know. Lindsey Buckingham's got to be in his 70s. Got to be in his mid to late 70s, I would think. Lindsey Buckingham might be 80. Let's see here. Hold on. How old is Lindsey Buckingham? Oh, really? You're not going to say it out loud? All right, well, screw you very much. Lindsey Buckingham is 76 years old. 76 years old. All right, so here's what happened to him. This comes to us from, is this the TMZ one? No, I wanted to use the TMZ one. All right, whatever. I'll use this one. This comes to us from The Sun. Scary turn. Fleetwood Mac singer Lindsey Buckingham attacked by a woman who threw unknown substance on him on an LA street. Rock star Lindsey Buckingham. Here, maybe I'll just, here's Lindsey Buckingham. This is what he looks like. This is what Lindsey Buckingham has looked like for like the last 30 years. I'll tell you, his relationship with Stevie Nicks, the whole Buckingham Nicks, and then they had that whole war, that romantic war during their time together at Fleetwood Mac. That created some of the greatest, not only rock soap opera that there has ever been in the history of rock and roll, but some of the absolute greatest music. That album, Rumors, the album is called Rumors. They called it Rumors because of all the rumors about infidelity among the members of this band. Everybody was fucking each other. Christy McVie, I don't know who Christy McVie was fucking. I don't know what that. Christy McVie and John McVie were married. They're in the band together, and they were cheating on each other. And then Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks joined the band, and they were in a relationship, a very, not married, but a very serious relationship. They've been together for years. And then Stevie Nicks starts fucking Mick Fleetwood, and then Lindsey Buckingham finds out about the point is, they didn't let any of these like horrible, my girlfriend's a bitch, my boyfriend's an asshole kind of moments break them up. They just turned it into one of the most successful albums of the 1970s. And if you have ever seen the live performance of The Chain, which is, I think, their masterpiece, I think Fleetwood Mac's The Chain is their masterpiece. If you've ever seen the live performance of The Chain with Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham screaming at each other on stage, like lyrically, like singing the song in a way that is so authentic. The Chain, about the chains keeping us together. The band is the chain, and no matter what you fucking do to me, these chains are going to keep us together, and they are just screaming at each other. It is one of the great live vocal performances that I've ever seen. Lindsey Buckingham did that. There he is. That's Lindsey Buckingham. Good-looking guy. Also, Lindsey Buckingham, very famous because remember that bit on Saturday Night Live that always sidelined Lindsey Buckingham? What was the bit? Was it What's Up With That? Remember Kenan Thompson's What's Up With That? And they never had time for Lindsey Buckingham. Also, our guest, Lindsey Buckingham. Sorry, Lindsey, we didn't have time for you. Bill Hader always played Lindsey Buckingham. He always got bumped. Anyway, let's give you the story here about what happened to Lindsey Buckingham because it's weird. Let's see here. Former Fleetwood Mac singer had an unknown substance thrown on him when he arrived for a doctor's appointment in Santa Monica early on Wednesday morning. It says here the suspect, who law enforcement said was a woman, has been identified, but no arrest has been made. The attack occurred when the guitarist, 76 years old, showed up for a doctor's appointment in Santa Monica, California. Law enforcement sources told KNBC that the attacker is a stalking suspect. So I won't read the whole story, but I'll tell you what the details are. This isn't just like some random homeless person. No, somebody had been following and stalking down Lindsey Buckingham. Think about that. Lindsey Buckingham hasn't really been famous. I mean, he's eternally famous because of his contributions, back in the 70s, but he hasn't been like a high profile, it's not like, Jimmy Fallon's going, our guests tonight are Lindsey Buckingham, Sierra, and, Joel McHale. No, he's not doing that. Lindsey Buckingham doesn't do that shit. He's got a big pile of money. He probably lives someplace really cool, but he's still got stalkers. So somebody, they don't know how this happened, but this particular stalker who had been hanging out around his house and who had supposedly been sending him notes on like Facebook or whatever. I don't know what Lindsey Buckingham's on, but this person was known to Lindsey, and Lindsey's like, yeah, no, she's got to stay away from me. Somehow this woman, and they believe that she may have hacked him, stalking through, digital hacking. That's a new one. She somehow knew that he had this doctor's appointment that he apparently had only written down in his phone. It was in his like little phone alerts kinds of things, that people do with their appointments. So somehow, not only does Lindsey Buckingham still have a stalker, but he's got like a digitally savvy stalker who hacked into his phone, found out that he had this doctor's appointment, and then waited outside the building for Lindsey Buckingham to walk in, and then just threw something on him. Like, that was the attack. Those are the freakiest attacks, man. Because sometimes it's going to be acid. Best case scenario, it's just water and you're wet. That is the best case scenario, that somebody throws water on you. But if it's an unknown substance, oh man. Like, do you remember just a couple of weeks ago when the chick in Minnesota was holding the press conference and the crazy dude had a syringe and he sprayed her with something? I guess that turned out to be nothing, just water. And Lindsey Buckingham's still alive, so I guess and he's not all burned. They're not talking about how he was rushed to a hospital. But man, what is the point of that? You're just going to throw a liquid on them? It's to mentally screw them up into thinking, holy crap, this could have been battery acid. Law enforcement did confirm that the attacker is a stalking suspect of Buckingham. I mean, you think about Taylor Swift having stalker. You just don't think that Lindsey Buckingham is still going to have problems here. While she threw the unknown substance over the singer, she then fled the scene. She has, however, been identified, and an arrest is incoming, sources say. Well, yeah, because I'm sure Lindsey knew who she was. He's like, that's a crazy bitch. I'm soaking wet. I don't know what this is. What is this? Piss? Fresca? I don't know what it is. Is it sticky? Does it smell? Oh, that's the worst. Some unknown substance. Because then you're like, do I need to go to the emergency room, or is this just water? That's a mind fuck. It's a big mind fuck. All right, Lindsey Buckingham. There you go. I like Lindsey Buckingham. Let me see something. Shane, keep us together. Let's see if I can give an example of that. I can't play the whole song because we can't do that, but it is at the end of the All right, let's see here. It's got to be like a really old one. I don't want a Fleetwood Mac version of The Chain from 1982. That's like 3 or 4 years past. I don't want to see that. They're just performing at that point. They've gotten over it. If you're watching a video of you got to go 70s. It's got to be 78, 79. That's where you want to see a Fleetwood Mac live performance of The Chain, because it's all real and they all hate each other. Boom. There we go. Fleetwood Mac, The Chain, live, 1979. All right, let's see what this is like. This is going to end the show probably in real time, but we'll see if we can't mess around with the music so that we can, maybe if we don't play the music, is that a thing? Like if I mute the music, maybe then we'll be able to watch it, because really it's just all about their facial expressions and how passionately they're hating on each other during the performance of this song.
About taxes, I would just cringe.
All right. Thank you for your commercial. All right, hold on. Look at that weirdo. He's like the guy that caused all this. If he didn't try and seduce Stevie Nicks, this whole thing, well, there you go. Maybe he had a master plan. Maybe he was like, we need to write a really killer album. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fuck my bandmate's girlfriend. I bet you he's a good writer. This is going to produce something. Mick Fleetwood had this plan the whole time. A little bit. We don't need this build up. This is, this is a little bit much. Let's jump ahead. Let's see where we are. All right, there's Lindsay right there. He's damning her love and he's damning her lies. All right, wait. Sound is terrible. All right, doesn't matter. Sound is terrible. Go enjoy that on your own. Although just as I clicked out of it, they cut to Stevie, who's like looking at him, giving him the dirtiest look, doing the what do they say, that the chorus to "You don't love me now, you will never love me again." That's authentic. That's the power of rock and roll. Those people, right? And then, good for them. That record sold like more than any record that ever sold at the time. It was like the biggest record of all time. Fleetwood Mac's Rumors in the late 70s was a damn thing. Big damn thing. So let's leave Lindsey Buckingham alone. And let's also wrap Stevie Nicks in plastic. And that's really all I'm worried about. They're like, seriously, if Fleetwood, Christine McVie's dead, I think she's gone. She's very important, but she's gone. But if you were going to say, hey, Fleetwood Mac is going on tour, and it didn't include Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks, I'm like, that ain't Fleetwood Mac. But it's got the weird drummer. It's got the weird drummer guy. I'm like, I don't care. Weird drummer guy isn't going to make it sound like Fleetwood Mac. He's a drummer. He's just going to make it look like Fleetwood Mac. That's all he does. All right, once again, I want to thank our executive producer of today's show. He stepped up yesterday, tipped the show. We are gearing up for a pledge week here. Should have started it this week, but you know how I hate to be. Thank you to Peter the Great. He tipped anyway. He dropped a little something. Thank you so much, Peter. Once again, if you want to support this kind of talk radio, the kind of talk radio that doesn't do commercials, that doesn't get any support from anywhere else, it is listener funded. You either like it or you don't. You drop a little something, please, in the Venmo or the Cash App. Now, we're going to be back tomorrow for a Friday show, 2:33. What did I do? We went on at noon, so 2.5 hours. All right, that's good enough. All right, I love you guys. We'll be back tomorrow. See you tomorrow at noon. Like, follow, subscribe, all that stuff. Bye.